Chapter 143. Jiang Huiqing didn't know why, but he still agreed. I found something strange today. These dancers aren't all from Dahuan. Since He Qingyu wasn't drunk, Jiang Huiqing started to talk about business. While He Qingyu was talking with the bosses, Jiang Huiqing wasn't idle either. He looked like he was wandering around out of curiosity, but he was actually observing the entire banquet. And the utensils at the banquet. Many of them aren't from Dahuan. They're closer to what the northern desert people use. I didn't find anything wrong with the merchants who attended the banquet. We can't rush this. They're still suspicious of us, so they can't directly show too many things that are wrong. We can only be considered part of the inner circle after we pass their test. Some things had to be done slowly. They couldn't be rushed. There were 2 more women in the residence. It didn't seem any different from before, except that Jiang Huiqing had to throw a tantrum at He Qingyu when the 2 were around. Every time the 2 women tried to get close to He Qingyu, they were interrupted. After a few times, they vaguely sensed something and stopped approaching them. He Qingyu still went out to attend the banquets of Boss Sun, and the others from time to time. Jiang Huiqing didn't need to deal with these people, so he secretly observed. After returning, the 2 locked themselves in the room to check the clues they found. Time passed in the blink of an eye. After receiving Shang Junlin's accurate reply, the Ministry of Works started to prepare for the examination. Because this examination was only to select people to enter the Ministry of Works, the Ministry of Rights didn't participate much. The specific process has been temporarily confirmed. I'll go to the palace to report to His Majesty. If there are no other changes, we can start preparing for the examination. The Minister of Works gathered everyone in the Ministry of Works and talked about this matter. This was a big deal for the Ministry of Works. It was also a big deal for the common people. Have you heard about what happened recently? This kind of examination is unheard of. You can enter the Ministry of Works without taking the imperial exam, as long as you have a skill. I want to give it a try. This news has been around for a long time, right? Is it accurate this time? It's been reported in the People's newspaper, so it must be accurate. But the date hasn't been set yet. They only said to let interested people prepare first. Do you want to give it a try? The newspaper said that as long as you know a skill, you can go. I only know how to do carpentry. I don't know if I can do it. For a time, there was a lot of discussion among the people about this examination. The People's newspaper wrote it very clearly. Without any rumors, the people accepted this examination very well. Many people had already started to think about which skills they could use. During the morning court session, the Minister of Works brought up the matter of the examination. Because this matter would not affect the power of the imperial court, there were not many people who objected. The time was set. After the court session, the ministers caught up with the Minister of Works. Has the minister been busy with this matter all this time? The Minister of Works nodded. Recently, we've been busy with the construction of roads and buildings, so we're really short on manpower. If any of you have subordinates that you can borrow, you can send them to the Ministry of Works. The person who caught up said in an embarrassed tone. Everyone has been busy recently. I see. The Minister of Works lost his enthusiasm at a speed visible to the naked eye. Forget it, I'll go and talk to the Minister of Rights about the assessment. They're more experienced. The Minister of Works did not care about their urging him to stay and strode away. He did not lie. He had originally planned to talk to the Minister of Rights about the assessment. If he had not been stopped by these people, he might have already caught up with the Minister of Rights. Compared to the Ministry of Works, the Ministry of Rights had more experience in this area. If they know that Her Majesty is planning to establish a new power that is independent of the imperial court, they definitely won't let go so easily. Shen Yu and Shang Junlin sat at a stone table under a big tree. There were snacks and tea on the table, all of which were to Shen Yu's taste. This matter, we'll talk about it after the results of the Ministry of Works assessment are out. Shang Junlin slowly sipped his tea. Implementing it only in the Ministry of Works and implementing it in the entire Dahuan were 2 different concepts. There were more and more problems to consider. Shen Yu was clear about this point. He believed that Shang Junlin would be able to handle this matter well. There were so many officials in the imperial court, and they were not paid for nothing. Your Majesty, I have a bookstore under my name. They have researched a new printing method. If it can be implemented in Dahuan, it will be more convenient than the original method. It will also not be like the original method, where it can only be abandoned after it's used up. This method is called movable type printing. This was also the technology that Shen Qingran had provided to the King of Yu in his previous life. Shen Yu had thought of this when he was writing a newspaper in the imperial court. However, he had not come into contact with this technology in his previous life, so he could only extract the main points from the content in his memory. Therefore, he did not directly tell Shang Junlin. He had sorted out the method and handed it to his bookstore. 2 days ago, news came from outside the palace that the effect he wanted was achieved. Shen Yu then mentioned it in front of Shang Junlin. Is it the bookstore's research or the idea provided by you? Shang Junlin's question hit the nail on the head. It is whatever your majesty thinks it is. Shen Yu did not admit or refute. I am also very curious about the effect. Does your majesty want to see it? Zhen will summon them into the palace. Shang Junlin paused for a while and then continued. Or we can go out of the palace to see it. Does your majesty have time to go out of the palace? Counting the days, they had not gone out of the palace for a long time. Shang Junlin had been very busy during this period of time. Shen Yu did not want to go out of the palace alone, so he stayed in the palace. Zhen will see if I can spare an afternoon. He was somewhat interested in Shen Yu's words. The production of the newspaper was completely funded by the imperial court. Because it had to be published every 1 or 2 days. It consumed a lot of material and financial resources. The Minister of Revenue had been talking about this matter many times. If this method can make the Minister of Revenue stop talking about how the newspaper is too expensive, it will be better. Is the National Treasury short of money recently? Shen Yu did a rough calculation. The newspaper should not be so expensive that the Minister of Revenue would complain about it every day. For the time being, there is no shortage. With the method you thought of before, most of the relief money comes from the people, so the National Treasury is not damaged. It is just that the Minister of Revenue, he will complain about everything that does not make money. Speaking of the Minister of Revenue, Shang Junlin was also somewhat helpless. He did not know if it was because of the position of the Minister of Revenue or some other problem. Before the Minister of Revenue was the Minister of Revenue, Shang Junlin had not seen him like this. Stingy. The nature of the people's daily determines that it cannot be used for profit. However, it is not impossible. Your Majesty can publish a newspaper that is different from the people's daily at the same time. Like how Yanzheng sponsored the Ministry of Works, let interested merchants pay a sponsorship fee, and then open up a section in the newspaper to introduce the goods these merchants sell. Shen Yu thought for a while and suggested. You and the Minister of Revenue should have a lot of common topics, especially in the area of making money. Am I not helping His Majesty solve his problems? If it were not for your Majesty, I would be too lazy to think about these things. Shen Yu tilted his head, his eyes sparkling. Shang Junlin's heart felt warm. I know Yu's intentions, and I will not disappoint you. The man's tone was solemn. Shen Yu was stunned. He did not understand why Shang Junlin suddenly changed the topic. However, he still followed Shang Junlin's words and said, Your Majesty's words are golden. In the future, there will be a day when you go back on your words. Otherwise I will be angry. How could I bear to do that? He could not wait to dote on him. How is Sube? When will official Fang come back? Shen Yu and Shang Junlin had been reading memorials for the past few days. They had seen a lot of memorials that talked about another position in the cabinet. Entering the cabinet was the dream of almost all civil officials. It represented not only power, but also a kind of recognition. There was always a kind of obsession in the hearts of civil officials. After all, who did not want to do something big and leave their name in history? I also hope that he can come back soon. For the vacant cabinet position, the courtiers are about to fight. However, it was not that easy to find the northern desert people who had been lurking in Sube for many years. According to the clues given by Yaoji, Fang Jun sent people to conduct a strict search in the main city of Sube and the surrounding small towns. However, they still could not find the house that Yaoji mentioned. It was as if it had disappeared into thin air. Does official Fang really think that woman's words can be trusted? In the study, someone raised a doubt. It was not that they wanted to suspect anything, but after so many days of searching, they really could not find any clues. What if this matter was a lie from the beginning? Then everything would make sense. Why could they not find the house even after turning the main city upside down? Because there was no such house from the beginning to the end. Whether it is trustworthy or not, this matter needs to be taken seriously. They were able to lurk in Subei for so many years without being discovered by anyone. It is enough to show that they can integrate well into Subei. It is normal that we can't find them easily, Fang Jun said lightly. You are right, official Fang. I have misunderstood. Don't say such things again in the future. Yes. Fang Jun did not doubt Yaoji's words. However, according to the news that the merchant who came back from the northern desert asked the hidden dragon guards to bring back to him, Yaoji's words were very credible. They could not find any useful clues for the time being. They could only hope that He Qingyu and Jiang Huiqing could find some clues. Recently, Jiang Huiqing felt that something was not right. Especially every time he went to a banquet with He Qingyu, those people looked at him. Although they were very subtle, he could feel that there was something else behind it. Also, in the residence, the two women did not go near them anymore. He sat on one side bored. On the other side, He Qingyu was talking business with Boss Sunday. If this business could be done, they would really enter the business circle of Subei. I didn't know that you were in that kind of relationship before. Did the two women I sent to you cause you trouble? After the business discussion, Boss Sun took the initiative to talk about the two dancers. I threw a tantrum, but it has been dealt with. He Qingyu raised his wine cup and covered the smile on his face. Look at how I handled it. If it is inconvenient for you, you can just tell me directly. How about this? I will take the initiative to give you 10% of the profits for this cooperation as an apology for what happened before. Boss Sun looked guilty. I didn't say it. It is not your fault. He Qingyu and Jiang Huiqing's movements were immediately reported to the palace through the hidden dragon guards. Their plan is very successful. I think they will find the clues of the people from the northern desert earlier than Fang Jun. Shang Junlin put down the secret letter and said. Xin Yu's attention could not help but fall on another matter. Is the top scholar deliberately tricking Huiqing? Chapter 144. What do you mean? Shang Junlin's focus was obviously not on this matter. There are so many ways available. Why did He Qingyu choose the one that would make outsiders misunderstand his relationship with Jiang Huiqing? Xin Yu pointed to a paragraph in the secret letter. Shang Junlin could not deny it. But it can't be denied that the follow-up impact of this is the least. Xin Yu nodded. Indeed, after such a misunderstanding is created, it can reduce a lot of unnecessary trouble. Especially when the other party wanted to plant spies around them, at least under the condition that the relationship on the surface was not torn apart. The other party's behavior would be restrained. The two of them were not wrong. After that banquet, Boss Sun found an excuse to take the twins away. At other times, he would not deliberately say anything about letting people serve them. Liking men and being together with men was not a rare thing in Dahuan. Boss Sun had been doing business for many years and had seen a lot of things. He would not make a fuss about this matter. Except for suddenly sending them dancers, he behaved normally at other times. The twins were brought back to the Sun residence, and Boss Sun met with them alone. Did you find anything in the Gu residence? A businessman who had never been heard of suddenly appeared in Subei, and at such a coincidental time. Because of the turmoil in Subei's officialdom, the protection above them could not even take care of themselves, and many of their businesses were hindered. At this time, they urgently needed new blood with clean background and enough money to join. He Qingyu and Jiang Huiqing appeared at this time, so even if there might be a problem with their appearance, Boss Sun still tried to find a way to get in touch with them. After a little probing and confirming that there was no problem with them, he decided to bring them in. The first banquet was a test. The people who appeared at the banquet that day were all local merchants of Subei. Even if there was something wrong with those two people, it wouldn't affect them. The twins were sent to further investigate the details of those two people. On the surface, they were dancers, but in fact, they were specially trained to spy on intelligence. Replying to Master, everything in the Gu residence is as usual. The relationship between the two is indeed as mentioned before. The two are together all day long. Every time we get close to Boss Gu and want to do something, young Master Gu will lose his temper with Boss Gu. One of the twins replied. What about at night? Do they stay together? Yes. Although young Master Gu has his own room, he often sleeps in Boss Gu's room. When he shows up the next day, he usually looks tired. What the twins did not know was that they were tired because they had been searching for clues in the middle of the night. I knew it. These two people don't look alike. At first glance, they don't look like brothers. It turns out that this brother is not the other brother. Boss Sun suddenly realized. My sister and I have pretended to accidentally bump into their interactions many times, but we really didn't find anything wrong. I got it. You guys can leave first. After the twins left, a tall and sturdy man dressed differently from the Subei people appeared in the study. You guys have to move faster. The deadline is almost up. Mr. Sun smiled bitterly. Do you think I don't want to? You've seen the current situation in Subei. That new Lord Fong isn't as easy to fool as before. I know. The female official in their midst is also very powerful. Hasn't the Great Huan dynasty always looked down on women? How could they allow women to enter the court as officials? Most of the foreign men frowned. Mr. Sun had also heard about the negotiations. It was precisely because of the failure of this negotiation that the other side was so anxious. They had already made a deal once, and then snatched a batch of supplies. Even if the incident in Subei happened and those officials were executed, they shouldn't be so anxious. They could temporarily lie dormant. However, those officials from the capital were not easy to deal with. They insisted on an explanation from the northern desert. After the first negotiation failed, they came for a second time. It was also because they underestimated the enemy that they were killed by a woman the second time. Our current emperor has never acted according to common sense. Who knows what he's thinking? It's said that the court has now allowed women to enter the court as officials. Thinking of this, Mr. Sun was upset. Their network of relations with the northern desert had been initially established during the time of the previous emperor. After more than 10 years of improvement, it was now very stable. However, at this time there was a drought. What happened later was like a wild horse that was out of their control. I told you long ago not to look down on women, but those people didn't listen. This time they're in big trouble. The strange race man sneered. They messed up such a big thing, and I have to clean up the mess for them. No one could have predicted this kind of thing. Mr. Sun tried to persuade him. Let's not talk about these idiots. In short, this matter can't be delayed any longer. Since you have a candidate, hurry and get it done. Those officials from the capital seem to be looking for us. Mr. Sun was startled. Could it be that they found something? Who knows if some idiot gave the game away? This Lord Fong is not easy to deal with. You have to be careful. A long night had many dreams. Mr. Sun also felt that this matter could not be delayed any longer. Without the twins in the Fu, Jiang Huiqing let out a sigh of relief. He finally didn't have to argue with brother Chengyu over such a small matter. They probably can't wait any longer. In the courtyard, Chengyu sat opposite Jiang Huiqing. Tea was boiling on the small table between them. Steam rose in spirals. They seemed to be very anxious. Although I don't know the reason, this is undoubtedly extremely beneficial to us. When people were anxious, it was always easy to make mistakes or neglect some things. Their bait had been released little by little, waiting for the fish to take the bait. Huiqing is right. Through their actions these past few days, it's not hard to see that their suspicions towards us have already been reduced to the lowest. If the matter wasn't so urgent, they could have used a gentler method to slowly probe us instead of directly sending spies to our residence. If I'm not wrong, they should have come to our door in the next 2 days. Just as Chengyu had expected, Boss Sun came to visit him again in less than 2 days. This time, he brought a friend and asked Chengyu if he was interested in talking about a big business that was sure to be profitable. Chengyu did not directly agree, but deliberately hesitated for a while. This undoubtedly dispelled the last concerns in Mr. Sun's heart. It is not the first time that you and I have cooperated. You know my character. Just relax. If it was not a good job, I would not have specially called you. Mr. Sun, you are too serious. It's just that this business is too big. I don't have so much stock in my hands. I need some time to prepare. Will it delay you? Ha ha ha, you can rest assured. I don't have so much stock in my hands. They don't want so much all at once. They can trade in batches. You can trade as much as you have. After some discussion, He Qingyu agreed. It seems that they are more anxious than we thought. He Qingyu looked at the goods list left by Mr. Sunday. The light in his eyes was obscure and uncertain. Jiang Huiqing. They don't completely trust us. There is no big problem with the goods written on the list. However, this transaction proves that our efforts are not in vain. The direction is correct. He Qingyu. Originally, I thought that it would take a lot of effort to get in touch with them. I didn't expect Boss Sun to be one of them. We can't let anything go wrong with this deal. Boss Sun is a very cautious person. We need to let them let down their guard bit by bit and treat us as their own people. Only then can we get in touch with the most important thing. What they needed was precisely the most important things. Brother Qingyu, can you prepare such a large batch of goods in time? This time, it was not the same as the previous small transactions. This time, what the other party wanted to trade was equivalent to the entire heritage of a small aristocratic family. Don't worry. Since we have chosen this identity, we can naturally do everything that this identity can do. In order to prevent the news from leaking, only Fang Jun knew about He Qingyu and Jiang Huiqing's progress in Subei. Only Fang Jun knew about their plan. As soon as they got in touch, Fang Jun received the news. He Qingyu's plan was to bide his time and wait for the other party to reveal more of their trump cards before making a move. Fang Jun did not object. Instead, he secretly set up a large net through the information He Qingyu and Jiang Huiqing sent over. This time, they were going to completely dig out this malignant tumor that had grown in Subei for many years. After telling He Qingyu and Jiang Huiqing to be careful, Lord Fang asked He Qingyu if he needed help. He had the same concerns as Jiang Huiqing. He was worried that He Qingyu could not take out so many things. He Qingyu refused. Just as he said if he was not completely confident, he would not have chosen this identity. He had indeed done it, and did not let the other party find anything amiss. So He Qingyu's family is so rich. Xinyu looked at the booklet Fang Jun sent back, and sighed in his heart. The He family has been passed down for many years. It is not surprising that they have such a rich family background. In the capital, many aristocratic families can easily take out these things. Previously, the majority of the goods shipped to Subei were provided by aristocratic families. Before Shang Junlin ascended the throne, he knew that he should never underestimate aristocratic families. It was common for dynasties to change, but some aristocratic families were able to stand tall and not fall. The role they could play was immeasurable. No matter how dissatisfied Shang Junlin was with the aristocratic family's actions, he could not rashly make a move against them. The few times he made a move, he hit them with one blow. The aristocratic families did not have time to react, nor did he give them any chance to unite. Didn't you say that he was going to take me to see the new printing technology? Shang Junlin ordered someone to bring a carriage and took Xinyu out of the palace. They went to the shop they went to last time. Because the purpose this time was different, they did not go to the shop. Instead, they went directly to the backyard. Boss Yi already knew that they were coming and had prepared everything. Shang Junlin's eyes casually glanced at Boss Yi. When he saw that Boss Yi's body was tense, he frowned slightly. His memory was never wrong. Last time, when he felt that this person looked familiar, he asked the hidden dragon guards to investigate this person. The result was that there was no problem. Xinyu scratched Shang Junlin's palm. Your Majesty, what's wrong? Shang Junlin squeezed Xinyu's hand. Nothing. After passing through the long corridor, the three of them came to the more secretive backyard. This was the place where the books were printed. Shang Junlin also saw the movable type printing technology that Xinyu mentioned for the first time. Xinyu felt the strength of the hand that was holding Shang Junlin's hand suddenly increase. He turned his head and looked at Shang Junlin. Your Majesty? You always brings me big surprises. Shang Junlin's voice was hoarse. Chapter 145. Shen Yu once talked to Shang Junlin about the difference between movable type printing and Dahuan's existing printing. Comparing the two, the former was far more practical than the latter. One of the reasons why aristocratic families could stand for so many years was because of their heritage, the knowledge accumulated over generations, and the rich variety of books. Although Dahuan had opened the imperial examination, the competitiveness of the students from poor families was far less than that of the aristocratic families. Part of the reason was that the students from poor families had less access to knowledge from the beginning than the aristocratic families. If an ordinary family wanted to cultivate a scholar, it was far from easy to imagine. The impact of the new printing would be huge. Unlike the previous printing where all the content was engraved on a board, if a word was wrong, the whole board would be scrapped. The new printing would carve each word separately. When printing different content, the words only needed to be rearranged, unlike the previous printing where only one piece could be engraved. Shang Junlin could foresee the huge impact of this printing. With this method, books could be printed on a large scale. In a short time, there may not be any changes, but after a long time, the gap between the aristocratic families and the poor families would be narrowed. Knowledge would no longer be monopolized by the aristocratic families. For the real rulers of Dahuan, it was extremely beneficial. For a moment, Shang Junlin forgot that Boss Yi felt something was wrong. His whole mind fell on the things in front of him. If this printing could be popularized on a large scale, the influence of the aristocratic families would become smaller and smaller. Boss Yi knew that the two came to see the printing, so he took the two inside and let the experienced people demonstrate. This method is much more convenient than before, Boss Yi sighed. The cost of printing a book in the past is simply incomparable to now. Yes, this way, the time, manpower, and material required are greatly reduced. In the same time, with this method, more books can be printed. Shang Junlin agreed. Shen Yu curiously looked around. His understanding of this method was limited to what he heard from others. In his previous life, he didn't see how it worked. This was the first time he saw it. What do you think, Your Majesty? After walking around, the two returned to the front yard. Boss Yi sensibly didn't disturb the two alone time, but went to the bookstore to work. With the new printing technology, the bookstore sold more kinds of books. Previously, because of the special letter paper, the bookstore had a good reputation among the scholars. This time, there were a variety of new books, and more customers came to patronize. Shen Yu's favorite snacks were placed on the table. Shen Yu picked up a piece and put it in her mouth. She slightly narrowed her eyes. It's really a pleasant surprise. Shang Junlin took a sip of tea to ease his mood. But we can't let the aristocratic families know about it for the time being. The aristocratic families were not in cahoots with each other, but if their interests were endangered, they would unite as quickly as possible and unite against the outside world. The aristocratic families had been entrenched in this land for a long time. If they were really angered, it would bring about a lot of unnecessary trouble. Moreover, if they knew that all of this was done by Shen Yu, he was afraid that they would all target Shen Yu. They might not dare to do too much because of him, but they definitely wouldn't let Shen Yu go easy because of him. In any case, Shang Junlin wouldn't let Shen Yu be exposed to danger. Is Your Majesty worried about the aristocratic family's counterattack? This matter really can't be rushed. After all, we have a trump card in our hands, so we can take it slowly. Shen Yu understood Shang Junlin's concerns. I'm afraid that you will have to be wronged for the time being. I can't give you the credit for the new printing technology for the time being. Shang Junlin paused for a moment, and looked at Shen Yu with a somewhat complicated expression. The aristocratic family's influence in the capital is too big. I can't risk exposing you under their eyes. He was very dissatisfied. If he could solve the hidden danger of the aristocratic families earlier, why would Shen Yu be wrong now? His Yu had obviously made such a big contribution, but because of these people, he could only be behind the scenes. Even if Your Majesty didn't say it, I would still ask Your Majesty to take me out. I got this method from somewhere else, and the one who really made the results was not me. If your majesty wants to reward, then reward these people. Shang Junlin held Xinyu's hand on the table. I will never let you be wronged. After returning to the palace, Shang Junlin immediately summoned the Prime Minister to the palace to discuss how to popularize the movable type printing technology. In the imperial study, Shang Junlin said, Your Majesty's people have recently developed a new printing technology. Meng Chang, give it to the Prime Minister. Eunuch Meng sorted out the files about the movable type printing technology and handed them to the Prime Minister. To be able to reach the position of Prime Minister and become Shang Junlin's confidant at the same time, the Prime Minister's knowledge and political acumen were top-notch. After reading the files, he didn't speak immediately. Instead, he digested the contents of the files for a while before saying, This method is really good for Dahuan. I know. What I am thinking about now is how to make the aristocratic families less resistant to it. Also, the relationship between Dahuan and Your Majesty cannot be revealed. The Prime Minister immediately understood that the Emperor did this to prevent Dahuan from becoming a target for the aristocratic families. The Prime Minister could see how sincere Shang Junlin was toward Xinyu. Because of this, he became more and more emotional. With Xinyu's ability, if he was in the imperial court, he would definitely be an extremely high official. It was a pity that he had an unreliable father. Shang Junlin called the Prime Minister to discuss the printing technology. In the end, the preliminary plan was to directly popularize it among the people. When the aristocratic families discovered it, the imperial court would intervene. As long as there was enough time in between, there would be a lot of room for manipulation. Zubei. Under the unremitting efforts of Fang Jun and the others, they finally found some clues. He Qingyu and Boss Sun's friendship became deeper and deeper. After the successful completion of the first transaction, Boss Sun basically dispelled his suspicions towards He Qingyu. Gradually, he began to tell him more about the inside story and started to introduce him to some foreign businessmen. He Qingyu observed these people. Some of them were from the northern desert, and some were from other countries. So it's not just the northern desert people. At night, He Qingyu and Jiang Huiqing gathered together as usual to talk about their discoveries. Most of the transactions between these people are normal goods. This Boss Sun is hiding a lot of secrets. He originally thought that Boss Sun was just an ordinary businessman. He didn't expect that the more he interacted with him, the more he realized that the power behind him was complicated. The scale of Boss Sun's power today is inseparable from the power behind him. It's like a tie that connects all the forces. After knowing that Boss Sun had a certain relationship with the northern desert people, Fang Jun sent people to carefully investigate the identity of this person. He was an ordinary businessman in Subei. Before the Sun family was handed over to him, it was far from its current scale. No useful information could be found about the history of this person's family. It seemed that he suddenly rose overnight. After finding a breakthrough, Fang Jun ordered people to follow Mr. Sun's lead and continue to investigate. Maybe they could find more useful information. Fang Jun called Yaoji and asked, Have you heard of Boss Sun? During this period of time, Yaoji had been investigating cases with the government. Her temperament had changed a lot. She was more determined, and her eyes were also very different from before. Especially after Fang Jiai's arrival. Fang Jiai's confidence and calmness greatly shocked her, which also affected her personality change imperceptibly. Boss Sun? Yaoji thought about it carefully. She really pulled out such a person from her memory. I've seen him before. It was at a banquet. That Mr. Sun seemed to have a high status. Even Lord Ho at that time gave him some face. At that time, Lord Ho could be said to be the one holding up the sky in Subei. Even he had to give face to someone who was not a simple person. Think about it. Is there any more detailed information about this person? Boss Sun doesn't appear at every banquet. Whenever he appears, it's relatively mysterious. Lord Ho pays much more attention to those banquets than others. I'm just a dancer. Except for occasionally being ordered to stay in the hall for a while, I can't get in touch with these people at other times. After all, with her identity, it was already a surprise that Yaoji could give so much information. Who else have you seen? Can you describe them and ask someone to draw them down? Fang Jiai suddenly asked. Yes. Fang Jun called in someone who was good at this. The two of them worked together and drew more than 10 portraits. Fang Jun immediately ordered people to check the details of these people. It was much easier to check these people. It didn't take long for the information about them to be sent to Fang Jun's desk. Fang Jun listed a series of common points through the results of the investigation. The hidden truth gradually surfaced, and only the last line that could connect everything was left. With Shen Yu's instructions, Boss Yi revealed the movable type printing under the pretext of cooperation. The cooperation was first proposed by Boss Yi. He looked for bookstores that were not involved with aristocratic families. After all, Shen Yu told him that this matter could not be known to the aristocratic families for the time being. Boss Yi was a very rational person. His position was very clear. He knew that if there was no Shen Yu, he would not be where he was now. Therefore, he did not object to Shen Yu's request, even if it was unreasonable to share the new printing technology unconditionally in the eyes of many people. Today, I invited you to come over because I want to talk to you about a business. I want to publish a book of basic literacy with you and sell it at the lowest price. When Boss Ye's voice fell, someone objected. Boss Ye wants to pull us to do charity together. It's not that we don't want to agree, but Boss Ye is also a bookstore. You know that our industry is far from being as profitable as it seems. The price of books is high because of the cost. I know that this is a bit difficult, but to show my sincerity, I am willing to share the new printing method with you. After listening to Boss Ye's introduction, the people present were stunned. This method is really wonderful. For a long time someone spoke. They were all running bookstores for many years. They knew the drawbacks of the existing printing technology. Now all kinds of books were expensive. A large part of the reason was that the cost was too high. Whether it was printing or hand copying, it was not an easy task. But if there was the new printing technology mentioned by Boss Yi, many problems could be solved. Why is Boss Yi willing to tell us such a method? After the shock, some people were puzzled. Peers were also competitors. If this technology has been in the hands of Boss Yi, in a few years Boss Ye's bookstore will be able to suppress them. Cooperation always needs to show some sincerity first, right? Boss Yi smiled faintly. This Yi thinks that this sincerity is enough. This Yi knows that the cooperation proposed by this Yi is too idealistic, but with the new printing technology, this matter is not so unbelievable. What do you think? Boss Yi is really... A person stood up and said, in this case, I am willing to cooperate with Boss Yi. Several other people looked at each other, and no longer objected. It was not about other things, but the new printing method described by Boss Yi was enough to make people excited. After the matter was done, Boss Yi sent the news to the palace. Your Majesty wants to implement it first among the people. I asked Boss Yi to invite the bosses of the major bookstores in the capital in the name of cooperation, and teach them the movable type printing technology. In order to get the greatest benefits in the early stage, they will definitely not take the initiative to tell others about this method. On the contrary, they will keep the secret for as long as they can. You has helped me again. Shang Junlin suddenly hugged Shen Yu. The Prime Minister also told me 2 days ago that if a Yu enters the court, his achievements will not lose to him. I also think so. Oh. Shen Yu's eyes narrowed slightly. Your Majesty also thinks that I should enter the court? Whether you enter the court or not, a Yu can only be mine. Chapter 146. Why would Prime Minister say something like that? Shen Yu didn't remember that he had any interaction with the Prime Minister. The methods that a Yu gave us, Zhen didn't hide them from Prime Minister. Shang Junlin put Shen Yu down. Prime Minister should be happy to see them. Shen Yu didn't comment on this result, and asked about another matter. Your Majesty, is there any result from interrogating official Feng, and the mysterious force that you captured? Shang Junlin. There is a result from Feng Pingqi's side. This time, he was only following the orders of that force and didn't know much about the inside story of Subei. Shen Yu. He didn't know about the people of the northern desert? Shang Junlin. Yes, the result of several interrogations was the same. He only provided information about the Imperial Court's disaster relief, and conveniently blocked the memorials that came from Subei. Xinyu. What benefits did the other party promise him? Ah, Shang Junlin sneered. It's nothing more than that. Wealth, power, or something else, there's always something that can move him. Once greed was born, it wouldn't disappear easily. Feng Pingqi was able to enter the cabinet back then because of the help of those people. In return, he needed to do things for those people. Spreading rumors that were not beneficial to Zhen was one of them. The matter of Subei was also one of them. Shang Junlin added as he stroked Xinyu's long hair. Hearing this result, Xinyu wasn't surprised. Shang Junlin's unfavorable rumors had been around from the beginning. The other party had been dormant for many years, and was an important official of the imperial court. Even if Shang Junlin didn't have the habit of explaining things to others, official Feng shouldn't be ignorant of the inside story. The more inside information one knew, the easier it would be for one to find something that could be manipulated. Half-truths and half-lies had always been the hardest to expose. That was because the truth fabricated for the people with inside information would be very credible at first glance. What about Prince Yu? What's the connection between them and Prince Yu? Xinyu didn't forget that Prince Yu was also one of the people who worked tirelessly to defame Shang Junlin. For the time being, there is no evidence to prove that there is any connection between them. Feng Pingqi also refuses to admit that he and the King of Yu are in cahoots. Without enough evidence, the Ministry of Justice can't force him to plead guilty. He has confessed to all the other crimes with conclusive evidence. What about the other force that was captured? Did they reveal anything? Shang Junlin shook his head. That person is very stubborn. The Ministry of Justice has interrogated him for so many days, but other than the matter of defaming me and Subei, they couldn't get anything else out of him. Lord Feng, were you also instructed by those people when you drugged me? When I fell ill outside the palace, were they also the ones who did it? Xinyu's suspicions were the same as Shang Junlin's. After the people were captured, Shang Junlin immediately asked people to interrogate them about this matter. The results were similar to what they had expected. They admitted to this matter, but when they were asked why they did it, they began to ignore other things. I am very concerned about the reason behind it. Lord Feng was one of the people who pushed me to choose you to enter the palace. If they really didn't want you to enter the palace, they should have excluded you from the beginning. When the candidates were chosen to enter the palace, as the only legitimate son of Duke Xinbei, Xinyu shouldn't have been on the list. However, his name was on the list and he entered the palace in the end. What was going on at that time? Your Majesty has always refused to choose anyone to enter the harem. Why did you agree to it that time? Xinyu was quite curious. Shang Junlin had only agreed to it once in his 2 lifetimes. I can't explain it clearly. At that time, the court was arguing fiercely. I was annoyed, so I relented. Now it seems that it was fortunate that I relented at that time. Otherwise, you wouldn't have entered the palace. Speaking of this, Shang Junlin felt slightly relieved. If it wasn't me who entered the palace at that time, but someone else, what would your Majesty do? Will His Majesty and him be like us now? How could that be? Shang Junlin couldn't help laughing. My original plan was to find a random palace for him to live in. Didn't they want to send someone in? I can do as they wish. However, this person's life in the palace isn't something they can control. I won't care, and it's impossible for me to treat him the same as I treated you. In this world, only Xinyu was special. Shang Junlin thought that those people probably didn't expect that the person they spent so much effort to send into the palace not only didn't do as they wished, but also brought many obstacles to them. The Minister of Works borrowed a few people from the Ministry of Rights to help with the examination. This was the first time the Ministry of Works had done something like this. The Minister of Works was a nitpicky person. In order to ensure that no mistakes were made in the process, he kept a close watch. Those who wanted to participate in the examination were eagerly anticipating the arrival of the final day. A few close friends gathered together to talk about the examination. If I can pass, I'll be a member of the Ministry of Works in the future. It'll be much more honorable. Have you seen the examination process? At first, I thought it would be similar to the imperial examinations. I didn't expect it to be completely different. I remember that one of the tests requires you to show what you're good at. What do you think? What I'm good at? I'm better at forging. Do I have to forge during the examination? Everyone was full of anticipation for this examination. The imperial court was still busy with the matter of Su Bei and official Feng. After knowing that official Feng didn't collude with the people of the northern desert, the people in the imperial court heaved a sigh of relief. Taking this opportunity, Shang Junlin wantonly cleaned up the power in the imperial court. His actions were so big that all the officials focused on this matter. They didn't notice some changes among the people. For example, a few big bookstores among the people jointly published a very basic literacy book. It was mainly sold to the common people. For example, other than the people's daily newspaper, another kind of newspaper quietly appeared in the capital. Different from the people's daily newspaper, this new newspaper talked about some interesting things among the people. There were also some stories that were obviously more of an entertainment nature. A newspaper wasn't expensive. Many literate people bought it out of curiosity. The storytellers in the restaurants and tea houses developed a new profession as newspaper readers. These changes didn't attract the attention of the aristocratic families. Their attention was focused on the imperial court. Official Feng was a big tree. When the tree fell, the monkeys scattered. The power of the imperial court changed greatly because of his fall. At this time, everyone hoped that they could reap more benefits. Shang Junlin coldly watched their open and covert struggles. This wasn't the first time such a situation happened in front of him. The disputes in the capital didn't affect Su Bei. According to the clues given by Yaoji, Feng Jun carefully investigated those businessmen. He found that they all had something in common with Boss Sunday. They all suddenly rose at a certain time, and then controlled the business in Su Bei as quickly as possible. Su Bei was remote, and the business development was far inferior to the south. This also caused, except for these big businessmen who were inextricably linked to Boss Sun, the other businessmen were all small businessmen with little influence. Feng Jun told He Qingyu and Jiang Huiqing all the information he found. He Qingyu had gained the trust of Boss Sunday. During this time, he gradually got to know a lot of businessmen. They were all introduced by Boss Sunday. After comparing with the information secretly sent by official Feng, the two found that the two sides were very similar. It seems that these people also know. Jiang Huiqing tapped the table. The third transaction went smoothly. Boss Sun's guard against us has been lowered to the lowest. It's almost time to close the net. Before the fourth transaction, Boss Sun came to visit. This time, they need some different goods. He Qingyu poured tea for the two of them, and pushed one of the cups in front of Boss Sunday. What is it? Boss Sun lowered his voice and said a few words. Seeing He Qingyu's face change slightly, Boss Sun patted his hand. I know you have connections. The price they offer is also high. If you can succeed this time, you can earn enough for 3 years. It's not that I don't agree, but these things are not easy to get. He Qingyu looked embarrassed. And the risk is very high. I do have some connections, but the other side wants too much. The risk is too high. Boss Sun had been observing the expression on his face. Seeing this, he lowered his voice again. So the price they offer is high. If you cooperate with others, you will also have to bear the risk. The amount you get will be far less than the amount this time. You have done business with them several times and can feel their generosity. If I didn't sincerely treat you as a friend, I wouldn't have specially called you. He Qingyu seemed to be persuaded. He showed a hesitant expression. I need to think about it. Okay. Boss Sun didn't press too hard. When you have thought about it, let me know. They are still waiting for a reply. After seeing Boss Sun out, Jiang Huiqing sat where Boss Sun was sitting just now. It's a pity that such good tea is cheap. If Huiqing likes it, I will ask someone to send more over. There is no need to spend money. I just said it casually. All of this is finally going to end. After they came to Su Bei, they directly changed their identities to get close to Boss Sunday. In order to avoid any unforeseen events, the connection documents and the like were all temporarily placed in Feng Darren's hands. After a little longer, Jiang Huiqing almost felt like he was a rich family's child who had followed his elder brother out to gain experience. Everything in Su Bei was proceeding in an orderly manner. The disturbance caused by Feng Daren's fall slowly calmed down in the capital. The weather was turning cold, and the time of the annual autumn hunt was slowly approaching. The autumn hunt was a tradition of Dahuan. It was also a rare project that was continued after Shang Junlin ascended the throne. The court began to prepare for the autumn hunt. Before the autumn hunt, Xinyu's birthday came first. Zhen Beiho still didn't give up on using this opportunity to repair the relationship between him and Xinyu. He wrote several letters to his family and sent them to the palace. Xinyu piled them up on one side and didn't open them. Zhen Beiho still hasn't given up? Shang Junlin looked at the letters that Xinyu casually threw in the corner and asked. Xinyu sneered. As long as I don't fall out of favor, he won't give up. Xin Qingran, who he liked, was given up by himself. Right now, the only one who can bring benefits to the Zhenbei Hofu is me. Yu doesn't want to pay attention to it. It's just Zhenbei Ho. How can he be happier than Yu? Shang Junlin sat beside Xinyu and handed him a small booklet. This is. It was sent from the vassal king's fief. See if there is anything else you want. Xinyu opened the booklet. Inside it was a list of all the birthday gifts that were sent to him by various vassals. In order to cater to his preferences, the list was basically filled with all kinds of treasures. Xinyu was about to say something when someone suddenly appeared in the room. The leader of the hidden dragon guards half knelt on the ground. His voice was emotionless. I didn't do a good job. After I brought that person to the capital, he escaped. I am willing to accept the punishment. Chapter 147. Xinyu was astonished. How can someone escape from the hidden dragon guards? Tell me what happened. Shang Junlin asked coldly. After my men brought him back to the capital, I brought my men to meet him. At first he was very cooperative. However, when we were about to reach the palace, he suddenly disappeared. Suddenly disappeared. Yes, I locked him in a room with all the doors and windows tightly shut. I also arranged hidden dragon guards to guard the room. At first, he tried to talk to the people outside, but no one paid any attention to him, so he gradually quieted down. About 15 minutes later, when I went in again, there was no one inside. The hidden dragon guards did not know how to lie. Furthermore, the leader was not the only one who was present at the scene. If he could escape so easily, how did you catch him? Xinyu asked. The hidden dragon guards found him in King Yu's fief. He seemed to be hiding from someone. He did not resist and was taken away by us. He did not do anything on the way. The leader of the hidden dragon guards frowned. He seemed to be too obedient. The hidden dragon guards were ordered by Shang Junlin to capture him. At first, Shang Junlin ordered them to kill him. Since he could say such things, regardless of whether it was true or not, it would cause King Yu to attack Xinyu. Based on this point alone, Shang Junlin did not want to keep him alive. After that, it was Xinyu who requested to meet this person. Shang Junlin then changed his mind. You guys can even lose him in the capital. You guys are really good. Shang Junlin felt the temperature around him drop. He was very hostile towards the culprit who caused King Yu to befriend Xinyu. I will not punish you now. The person disappeared in the capital. No matter what method you use, I want to see this person in 3 days. If you can do it, you can forget about your position. Yes. Just like how he came. The leader of the hidden dragon guards disappeared from the room silently. Has that person been caught and brought to Beijing? Xinyu poured 2 cups of tea and placed 1 cup beside Shang Junlin's hand. Yes, Shang Junlin frowned, obviously in a bad mood. We originally planned to tell you when they arrived, but we didn't expect them to lose sight of it. To be able to escape under the watch of the hidden dragon guards, he either has a spy in the capital city or he has a problem. I am curious. There were so many opportunities along the way. Why did he choose to escape after entering the capital city? Xinyu took a sip of tea. I will ask the hidden dragon guards and the imperial army to pay more attention to the movements in the capital. No matter if it was the former or the latter, the person went missing in the capital. Shang Junlin had to pay more attention to it. What Shang Junlin didn't say was that what he was really worried about was whether that person had any magical abilities, and whether what he said to King Yu back then was true. Why don't we go and see King Yu? Maybe he knows something. Shin Yu suggested. Since that person knew King Yu, he couldn't have only said one sentence to King Yu. Other than that matter, did he say anything else to King Yu? Shin Yu had never seen such a person beside King Yu in his previous life. He had also never heard King Yu talk about this person. Was it because this person didn't exist in his previous life? Or was it because something happened in between that caused King Yu to completely forget about this person? What happened in his previous life couldn't be traced back. However, in this life, King Yu was still locked up in a secret prison. Maybe he could get some useful information from him. After many days, Shin Yu met King Yu again. The current King Yu was very different from how Shin Yu remembered him to be in his previous life. He was like a stone that used external forces to make himself shine. Now he had lost his shine and was only left with a dim interior. Shin Yu couldn't help but wonder if he had really loved this man in his previous life. Hearing the sound of footsteps approaching, King Yu raised his head absent-mindedly. The moment he saw the person approaching, the confusion in his eyes was replaced by shock and hatred. It seems that you haven't become stupid after being locked up. Shang Junlin's tone was indifferent, as if he was stating an unimportant matter. Why didn't Imperial Brother stay in the Imperial Palace? Why did you come here? Did you finally realize that the Emperor you appointed didn't have you in his heart? King Yu didn't hide his malice. If I didn't pretend to be His Majesty, would I pretend to be you? Originally, I couldn't compare with His Majesty. Now, I'm even. Shin Yu looked at King Yu from top to bottom. The disgust on his face was obvious. The resentment in King Yu's eyes was even more intense. He was like this because of them. If it weren't for these two people's treachery, how could he end up like this? He should be enjoying the love and respect of his people in his fief, enjoying good wine and delicious food. He shouldn't be like this, trapped in a cold and damp secret prison, unable to see the light of day. Shin Yu took a step forward, and was stunned to find that the Prince of Yu had uncontrollably taken a step back. He had a strange expression on his face. Just how blind was he in his previous life to fall in love with such a person, and be willing to do so many things for him? The mystery of his previous life seemed to be getting bigger and bigger. Shang Junlin came over and held Shin Yu's waist, interrupting his thoughts. Do you know a person called Zhu Wang? Shang Junlin didn't forget the purpose of this trip. King Yu's face suddenly changed. Suddenly he laughed. So that's how it is. It turns out that he didn't only tell me. No wonder you, who usually don't have feelings for others, dote on Shin Yu so much. Ah, now you are asking me this question in front of him. Aren't you afraid that I will tell him your secret? What secret? Is it the sentence, the one who gets the Shen family will get the world? Shin Yu's eyes were half closed and his gaze fell on King Yu. You know. King Yu's laughter stopped abruptly. His smile was mixed with malice, which made his face even more distorted. Since you know, why are you still willing to stay by his side? He couldn't see the expression on Shin Yu's face, but he was happy to make these two unhappy. The malice in his heart almost overflowed. Shin Yu, oh Shin Yu, don't forget that you are not the only child of Duke Xinbei. Believe it or not, my good brother can dote on you because of this sentence today. In the future, he can also give all of this to Shin Qingran. He has always been like this. He doesn't care about other people's feelings at all. Feeling the arm around his waist suddenly tighten, Shin Yu patted him to comfort him. He knew what kind of person Shang Junlin was. On the other hand, King Yu. So you admit that you hooked up with Shen Qingran while you were in contact with me? You approached me with ulterior motives from the beginning. What you wanted was neither me nor Shen Qingran. What you wanted was what we represented. You are already like this. How dare you talk about others with such certainty? King Yu's words were blocked in his mouth again. He opened his mouth but found that he couldn't refute. Ignoring the embarrassed look on King Yu's face, Shin Yu continued to ask, I'm quite curious. No matter what, you are a dignified king. You wouldn't believe a word from others, right? Oh yes, you not only believed it, but you also took action. In the end, you ended up in prison. Do you really think that what that person said is true? King Yu was stunned. He had never considered that this sentence might be false. After hearing the proverb, he gathered his confidants to discuss countermeasures. What was he thinking at that time? No matter whether this sentence was true or false, he had to try. What happened later? Why did he believe that this sentence was true? King Yu covered his head and thought for a while. Suddenly he calmed down and said, "Since you believe that this sentence is false, why did you ask me? I have never believed in these things. I just want to know your motive for approaching a Yu. A Yu grew up in the capital and had no interaction with you. Why did you choose him?" Shang Junlin's tone was calm. Only when he mentioned Shen Yu did he show some fluctuations. "Don't you already know the reason?" King Yu looked at Shen Yu. "I admit that my motive for approaching you is not pure. But other than this, I was sincere in everything else. Including seducing Shen Qingran from the bottom of your heart?" Shen Yu interrupted his words that he thought were affectionate. King Yu was speechless. "Don't talk about whether you are sincere or not. Even if you say it, you won't believe it. I just want to know what Zhu Wang did to make you believe that sentence, without any doubt. I met him by accident when I first arrived at the fief. The locals all call him Mr. Zhu. He saved me once, and before he left, he gave me a brocade pouch, saying that the things inside could help me get through 3 difficulties. I accepted the brocade pouch skeptically, and not long after, I encountered my first difficulty. Even if King Yu did not say the rest, Shen Yu and Shang Junlin could guess that the brocade bag had indeed helped King Yu overcome 3 difficulties. With this premise, it was not surprising that he became friends with Shen Yu and Shen Qingran because of this sentence. His whereabouts were a mystery. I could not make him stay. Later on, something happened and he stayed in the residence for a short period of time. Not long after, he disappeared again. It matched the information that the hidden dragon guards had found. Shen Yu and Shang Junlin were released from the secret prison. Not only did they not feel less confused, they were even more curious about Zhu Wang's existence. "Your Majesty, how much credibility do you think King Yu's words have?" On the way back to the palace, Shen Yu asked. Shang Junlin. "I still remember the 3 things that he said. Not long after King Yu arrived at his fief, there was a riot. Before the imperial court could take action, the riot was suppressed. I always thought that it was the forces that the late emperor left behind for him." Shen Yu. "King Yu's fief was rich and the people were living in peace. Why would there be a riot?" The late emperor was biased towards King Yu. Before he died, he had already decided on King Yu's fief. It was a very good place. After Shang Junlin ascended the throne, he had too many things to do. He just wanted to send King Yu away as soon as possible. He did not care about the fief and sent King Yu there directly. Shang Junlin frowned. Because there were too many things to do at that time. And King Yu had dealt with the riot in the fief by himself. I did not ask further. "Does you suspect that there's something wrong with this riot?" King Yu described that person as mysterious. "I don't think so. What if it was arranged by someone from the start?" Shen Yu supported his chin with one hand. "If there was a riot after the brocade sachet, it means that Zhu Wang is indeed capable. But who can be sure that the brocade sachet was obtained first?" There were more questions now. Why did that person do this? Could it be that he wanted King Yu to believe his words without a doubt? To be more specific, was it to make King Yu believe in the saying, "The one who gets the Shen family will get the world"? When the hidden dragon guards catch them, we will know what they want to do. Suddenly the carriage stopped. The guard outside the carriage reported, "Your Majesty, there is a person who calls himself Mr. Zhu. He wants to see you." Chapter 148. The person that the hidden dragon guards were looking for suddenly appeared in front of them. It was unbelievable. Shen Yu looked at Shang Junlin and saw the same confusion in his eyes. Of course, since the person came to them, there was no reason for them not to meet him. The carriage door opened and Shang Junlin alighted first. Shen Yu followed behind him. The person who called himself Mr. Zhu stood not far away from them. The guards stared at him as though he was their greatest enemy. Shen Yu and Shang Junlin took a few steps forward. This was the first time Shen Yu saw Mr. Zhu. The man was wearing a lacquered robe. His long hair was tied behind his head. He was younger than Shen Yu had imagined. His facial features were ordinary and gave people a strange feeling. The most eye-catching thing was his eyes. They were deep and bottomless. It was as though he had everything in his eyes. Mr. Zhu was also looking at Shang Junlin and Xinyu. The moment he saw their faces, he was stunned. Although he returned to normal in a short period of time, Xinyu still noticed it. Xinyu was very sure that he had never seen this person before. From the looks of it, this person shouldn't have seen him before either. Xinyu lowered his eyes and restrained the contemplation in his eyes. Your Majesty and Guijun are a match made in heaven. It is really enviable. Mr. Zhu looked at the two of them for a while, and said. Shang Junlin's expression softened. Why are you looking for me? He stood in front of Xinyu and his body was tense. He was very wary of Mr. Zhu, who appeared and disappeared mysteriously. I wanted to see your Majesty to confirm something. Now that I have confirmed it, the path of the stars has changed. I should not interfere too much. What do you want to do? Didn't your Majesty ask someone to bring me to the capital just to meet me? I thought that it would be rude to be escorted here. So, I came alone. Mr. Zhu's words and actions were very calm. It could be said that he was too calm. Even though he was being stared at by so many armed guards, it was as if he didn't feel anything. Xinyu had been carefully observing this person. In addition to the mysterious feeling, he always felt that this person gave him a very strange feeling. From King Yu's words, this person should be on King Yu's side. He should be hostile to them. This person was too calm. Xinyu couldn't tell for a moment whether this person was really mysterious or deliberately mystifying. Mr. Zhu has come from afar. Why don't you come into the palace for a chat? The way we invited Mr. Zhu was inappropriate. Mr. Zhu should give us a chance to apologize, Xinyu said, looking at Mr. Zhu. Mr. Zhu's gaze once again landed on Xinyu. This humble Taoist doesn't like to be tied down, so I won't be going to the palace. Xinyu grabbed Shang Junlin's sleeve. He felt a trace of hatred from this person. Although it was fleeting, he was sure that he didn't feel it wrong. He didn't have any hostility towards Shang Junlin, but he did. It turned out that he wasn't targeting Shang Junlin, but Shang Junlin held Xinyu's hand. When he looked at Mr. Zhu, he unconsciously showed a trace of displeasure. Mr. Zhu is not willing to give any face to the noble emperor's invitation? Mr. Zhu was stunned for a moment. It seemed that he didn't expect things to develop like this. He couldn't help but smile bitterly. This humble Taoist didn't mean that. Then why did you refuse? You should know that many people want to be invited by me, but can't get it. If you don't give me face, you don't give His Majesty face. Despising His Majesty is a serious crime. Xinyu looked arrogant. Noble Emperor is right. Shang Junlin nodded in agreement. He looked at Mr. Zhu with an even more unfriendly gaze. It was as if he was an emperor whose dignity had been challenged. It was as if he was telling Mr. Zhu to go even if he didn't want to. In the end, Mr. Zhu still followed them to the palace. Why did you insist on inviting Mr. Zhu to the palace? After returning to Yuzhang Palace, Shang Junlin hugged Mr. Zhu and sat on the couch. Mr. Zhu was arranged to stay in a separate palace. The hidden dragon guards were secretly watching his every move. This person gives me a very strange feeling. I can feel hatred towards me from him, but I don't have any interactions with him. Hatred couldn't be generated for no reason. There had to be a trigger. He had never even met Mr. Zhu before, so where was the trigger? If he hated me from the start, it wouldn't be strange for him to say something like that. He used one sentence to put me on the altar. When I was at my proudest, he used one sentence to push me to hell. I won't believe his words. Shang Junlin hugged Xinyu tightly. I don't believe in ghosts and gods. If there were really gods and Buddhas, why didn't they appear when the world was suffering? That proverb is even more ridiculous. Since when did the world change its master just because you have someone? Under the hidden dragon guard's strict guard, Mr. Zhu couldn't easily escape from the palace this time. Since Shang Junlin discovered that there was something wrong with Mr. Zhu, he naturally wouldn't let him go so easily. Mr. Zhu paced back and forth in the room. He thought that Shang Junlin would at least be afraid of the mysterious power. After he showed his mysterious power, even if Shang Junlin didn't treat him like a god like King Yu, he should still treat him with respect. But what was the result? He was too careless and underestimated this king who had killed his way out of the battlefield. He should have thought about it earlier. How could Shang Junlin and Shang Junyue be the same? Unfortunately, he realized it too late. Mr. Zhu only realized that something was wrong the next day. Xinyu said that he would apologize to him, but ever since he entered the palace, Xinyu and Shang Junlin didn't appear. On the first day, they told him to rest for a day. On the second day, he realized that there were many hidden presences around him. Even the palace servants gave him a strange feeling. He didn't have any evidence to prove it, but he believed in his intuition. This feeling reached its peak when he tried to walk out of the palace, but was stopped. After a while, he realized that he seemed to have delivered himself to their doorstep. Shang Junlin originally wanted to catch him. After he escaped, he took the initiative to appear in front of the two of them. Wasn't he walking right into their trap? Your Majesty, did Zhu Wang realize that something was wrong? Xinyu sat under the shade of a tree. Although it was a question, there wasn't much doubt in his tone. It's too late. The hidden dragon guards are guarding there. I don't believe that he can escape. How's the situation in Subei? Can official Feng rush back to participate in the autumn hunt? The position in the imperial cabinet had been vacant for a long time. After many failed attempts, the courtiers vaguely realized that the emperor already had a candidate in mind. It was just that he wasn't in the capital and couldn't give the position to someone else. It should be soon. He Qingyu and the others have already gained the trust of the other side. They are just waiting for the last moment. Regardless of whether it was He Qingyu or Jiang Huiqing, they were all waiting. He Qingyu thought about it and agreed to do this business with Boss Sunday. I know that you have concerns in your heart. This is normal. After all, some goods are not allowed to be traded. But don't worry, I have been doing business with them for a long time. I have also invited others to do business with them. There has never been any problems. Hearing the reply, Boss Sun's smile deepened. It was normal to have concerns. It was still the same sentence. If He Qingyu didn't have any concerns at all and directly agreed, he would be worried. Everyone who worked with him had such concerns in the beginning. But in the end, they couldn't resist the temptation behind the deal. It was true that there were risks, but the profits were also huge. After tasting the sweetness, they couldn't let go of it anymore. Boss Sun was very confident that no one could resist the temptation. After this deal was successful, both parties would be tied to the same boat. When they truly became one of us, they wouldn't have to worry so much anymore. Both parties had their own ideas. On the surface, they looked happy and harmonious. Since He Qingyu agreed, the two of them started to discuss some details. Jiang Huiqing sat next to He Qingyu. He seemed uninterested and absent-minded, but in fact he was quickly analyzing Boss Sun's words in his mind. In order to hit the nail on the head, they needed to make more preparations. In the end, the two of them were very satisfied with the result of the discussion, at least on the surface. Boss Sun smiled and drank the tea in his cup. Before you go this time, I will introduce some other bosses to you. We have all worked together for many years. There will be many opportunities to get along in the future. Thank you, Boss Sun, for your recommendation. It's my first time in Subei. Thank you for meeting Boss Sunday. You flatter me. It's also my great fortune to be able to meet Boss Gu. The conversation could be said to be very pleasant. He Qingyu passed the news to Boss Feng. It just so happened that Boss Feng had also found a lot of clues by investigating other people. According to the results of their investigation, these people would have a deal during this period of time, but they hadn't found out the specific time and place. He Qingyu's news was like timely rain, just enough to fill in the parts that they hadn't found out. Jiang Huiqing poured a cup of tea for He Qingyu, then walked to the other side with the teacup and sat down. Brother Qingyu, what do you think Boss Sun's expression will be on that day? He thought that everything was under control, but he didn't know that he had fallen into a big net woven by others from the beginning. We'll know when the time comes. I think the expression on his face will be very good. It's a pity that we haven't found any clues about the whereabouts of those women. When we catch them, are you afraid that we won't be able to interrogate them? What can't we get from Boss Feng's subordinates? That's true. Time passed in the blink of an eye. Early in the morning, Boss Sun sent a carriage to pick them up and take them to the transaction site. The sound of horse hooves was neither light nor heavy. Jiang Huiqing and He Qingyu sat in the carriage. The person driving the carriage was sent by Boss Sunday. This time, they went there to talk about business first. The real deal would begin after the discussion. The curtain of the carriage was lifted a small gap. Jiang Huiqing looked outside and found that he was completely unfamiliar with the road. Putting down the curtain, the two of them didn't speak anymore. The carriage stopped. The two of them got out of the carriage. A maid came up to them and led them to the main hall. The carriage was parked directly in the courtyard. Jiang Huiqing and He Qingyu didn't know what the courtyard looked like, but the layout inside was enough to shock them. It was hard to imagine that they could see such a garden in Subei. It was as if they were in a prosperous place like the capital. Looking around, every place was extremely exquisite. They didn't have much time to look at it. A door appeared in front of them. When the door was pushed open, Boss Sun came up to them and warmly invited them in. "I've finally met you. The person sitting here is the boss who we will often cooperate with in the future. Let's get to know each other first." Jiang Huiqing stood beside He Qingyu and calmly looked at the people sitting together. These people just happened to match Boss Fang's description. Chapter 149. Toasts were exchanged and singing and dancing were celebrated. Mr. Fang had told them about the banquet described by Yaoji. Jiang Huiqing looked around and found that the scene was exactly the same as what Mr. Fang had told them. Was this also the place where Yaoji danced? Jiang Huiqing lowered his eyes, concealing the deep thoughts in his eyes. He Qingyu had always played the role of someone who didn't know much about business. Indeed, he didn't know much about it. During the banquet, He Qingyu was mainly responsible for communicating with Mr. Sun and others. He listened on the side and occasionally made a puzzled expression. He Qingyu would stop and explain to him. What he mainly did was to record everything that happened at the banquet and observe the people who appeared at the banquet. After returning, he would exchange the clues with He Qingyu. Under normal circumstances, there weren't many people who would take the initiative to talk to him. Occasionally, there were people who wanted to find another way to get close to He Qingyu through him. For these people, Jiang Huiqing didn't seem to know their real purpose at all. After a conversation, he didn't make any promises to them and didn't leave any evidence behind. This was the last test between the two sides. He Qingyu acted as usual and was recommended by Mr. Sunday. The other people didn't have much hostility toward him. After the banquet, He Qingyu planned to leave with Jiang Huiqing but was stopped by Mr. Sunday. "It's late. Why don't you stay for the night? It'll save you the trouble of making another trip tomorrow." "Is it also here tomorrow?" He Qingyu raised his eyebrows. "Ah, yes." Mr. Sun laughed dryly. "It's a last-minute decision. They'll send someone here tomorrow. Mr. Gu's goods are ready. You can send them here directly." He Qingyu looked at him with a faint smile. "Mr. Sun, you've been planning this for a long time. I won't blame you if you tell me directly. It's really a last-minute decision. They're in a hurry. The original date is a little late for them." Mr. Sun explained with a smile. He Qingyu was the only one who had what they urgently needed. He could not afford to offend him now. He was not surprised that He Qingyu would be angry. Businessmen valued integrity the most. This time, he was the one who broke his promise first. "All right, then I'll stay here for one more day. Find someone to take my letter, and tell them to send the goods over tomorrow." The two of them were arranged to stay in the same room. This time, they didn't force any servants to serve them. Boss Sun apologized again and again before leaving with them. After confirming that there was no one around, Jiang Huiqing relaxed and sat on the bed. "Fortunately, I didn't choose today. Originally, after discussing with Lord Fang, they had planned to capture him today. Later, they changed their minds and wanted to do it on the official day of the transaction." He Qingyu walked over and sat next to him. "Especially at this kind of time, the more vigilant we should be. If we really choose today, we will only alert the enemy. After all, their real target was not these businessmen, but the people of the northern desert who were hiding behind them." Jiang Huiqing lowered his voice and said in a voice that only the two of them could hear. Maybe Mr. Sun did it on purpose. The date they chose from the beginning was tomorrow. The date they told us was just to divert attention. If there's really something wrong with us, they won't lose too much. I think so too. Keeping us here is also a kind of surveillance in disguise. We only have a few servants with us. These people are probably under strict surveillance. They won't be given a chance to spread news to the outside world. They have a good plan. However, Brother Qingyu, aren't you worried that they only want to do one business? Qingyu understood the meaning of his words and shook his head. No, they just want to make sure that there's nothing wrong with us. Even if there is a problem, they can retreat safely. If they want to get rid of us after getting the goods, they don't need to test us again and again. It was not good to talk too much in someone else's territory. Qingyu stopped Jiang Huiqing from continuing the topic and asked for hot water from the servant outside the room. It was a dreamless night. The next day, it was obvious that the courtyard was more heavily guarded. Qingyu took Jiang Huiqing to the main hall. Mr. Sun was already there and was talking to a burly man. Mr. Gu is here. Mr. Sun glanced at the two of them and stopped talking to the man. He walked towards the two of them and introduced them to each other. This is Mr. Tu, who is going to make a deal with us this time. Mr. Tu doesn't look like someone from Subei. After a simple greeting, Qingyu said casually. Indeed he's not. He just has a good friendship with me. Mr. Sun didn't mean to hide it. But in my opinion, it doesn't matter where he's from as long as we can cooperate in a friendly manner. What do you think, Mr. Gu? Mr. Sun is right. After a while, the other bosses also came in. Qingyu finished the tea in the cup and said, because the goods are special, I need to talk face to face with someone on your side. This request isn't too much, right? It's not too much. Mr. Sun was afraid that the atmosphere would be too stiff, so he tried to smooth things over. Don't worry, Mr. Gu. Mr. Tu is the person on the other side. After spending some time together, Mr. Sun had a certain understanding of Qingyu. He knew that although he looked easygoing, he was actually very ambitious. It was normal for him to be ambitious, since he was able to do such a big business at such a young age. Mr. Sun didn't care about this flaw. In Mr. Sun's ears, Qingyu's words were to confirm whether the person he was talking to was qualified or not. Sure enough, Mr. Sun saw Mr. Gu's attitude soften. It's fate that brought us together. Let me give you a toast. Mr. Tu stood up and finished the wine in his cup in one gulp. The two of them didn't waste too much time on meaningless conversation. Soon the topic was on the right track. A batch of the goods Mr. Tu wants has been delivered. If you're in a hurry, you can check it first. Qingyu went straight to the point. Mr. Tu couldn't ask for more and immediately agreed. The goods were placed neatly in the courtyard. Mr. Tu opened the box with his men, and the snow-white salt came into view. He reached out and grabbed a handful. Fine white particles fell through the gaps between his fingers. Qingyu waved his fan and walked over. How is it? I dare say that no one can get a finished product like mine. It was also the first time Mr. Sun saw such white salt. The shock in his eyes couldn't be hidden. Mr. Tu looked at the other boxes. Without exception, the quality of the goods inside was beyond his expectations. He gave Mr. Sun a look. Mr. Sun understood that it meant that he was very satisfied. The smile on his face kept widening. Mr. Gu really gave us a big surprise. There's no hurry. Qingyu closed his fan. With this kind of quality, you should be qualified to meet the real boss, right? Of course. A slightly rough voice came from behind. Qingyu turned around and saw a man wearing northern desert uniform walking over from the corridor. There were several guards behind him. Mr. Tu saw him and bowed respectfully. This man had a strong murderous aura. It was more appropriate to call him a soldier than a businessman. From the respectful attitude of Mr. Sun and the others, this man had a very high status. Many thoughts flashed through his mind, but he didn't show it on his face. On the other side, the Northern Army and the hidden dragon guards approached the house bit by bit according to the clues provided by Feng Jun. The people in the house didn't realize that danger was approaching. They were immersed in the joy of the transaction. Only Qingyu and Jiang Huiqing remained clear-headed. Not to mention the others, even Jiang Huiqing was surprised when he saw the boxes being opened. In order to fish out the mastermind, He Qingyu really put in a lot of effort. After he took out those items, everyone present looked at He Qingyu in a different light. Jiang Huiqing felt the constant gazes directed at him, and felt a little amused. Yesterday they were all putting on airs, but today they couldn't wait to climb on top of him. The negotiation went smoothly. Before the final deal was finalized, He Qingyu put down his cup and said, "May I ask where these things will be used in the end? Since Mr. Gu has such good goods, we will definitely cooperate in the future. I don't mind telling you that we will ship them to the northern desert. It's not your first time doing business in the northern desert, right?" He Qingyu asked curiously. "We started a few years ago. The people of the northern desert are very generous. As long as they are satisfied with the goods, the price is negotiable." The businessman sitting next to He Qingyu swirled his wine cup. After the deal was settled, He Qingyu asked to leave. This time he was not stopped. The carriage was still waiting in the yard. The main gate was not far away. At the moment, the gate was closed. No one knew what was going on outside. He Qingyu didn't get into the carriage. Instead, he pulled Jiang Huiqing to the main gate. Mr. Sun followed him in confusion. "Mr. Gu, what are you doing?" He Qingyu stopped in front of the gate. He turned around and smiled. "Before I leave, I have a big surprise for you." Mr. Sun didn't know why, but he had a bad feeling. When he was about to say something, the gate was knocked open from the outside. Soldiers in armor rushed in from the main gate. "You colluded with the government." Mr. Sun was furious. He Qingyu and Jiang Huiqing were surrounded by soldiers. Hearing this, Jiang Huiqing turned to look at him and said in a clear voice, "We are from the government. What do you mean by colluding with them?" At this moment, Jiang Huiqing no longer had the slightest bit of ignorance on his body. The Northern Desert Army rushed into the house and took everyone under control. Because it was the most relaxed time, no one expected it. Some people were still confused when they were pushed to the front gate. "You planned this from the beginning." Mr. Sun was forced to kneel on the ground. He looked up at He Qingyu, who was protected by the crowd. His eyes were full of viciousness. "You dared to trade goods with the Northern Desert. You should have known that this day would come." He Qingyu's voice was faint. At this moment his expression and tone were very different from the Mr. Gu that Mr. Sun was familiar with. "Who are you?" Mr. Sun didn't know that this generous Mr. Gu was the top scholar until he was locked in prison. After catching the people, Fang Jun sent people to interrogate them overnight. A series of clues were dug out. According to the information provided by these people, those well-hidden forces were also caught. As for how to deal with the captured people of the northern desert, they had to ask the imperial court first. Fang Jun was finishing the final work in the northern desert. The related memorials were sent to Shang Junlin's desk as fast as possible. With the contribution of the Northern Desert Army, Mr. Fang is justified to enter the cabinet. Xinyu sighed after reading the memorials. Then he said, "How does His Majesty plan to deal with the people of the Northern Desert?" Shang Junlin chuckled. "The leader came to the capital. Whether he lives or dies depends on the sincerity of the Northern Desert." Xinyu understood that he was planning to extort a large sum of money. Chapter 150. Xinyu did not believe that such a large transaction was only the personal actions of some people in the northern desert. Even if it was just one person, it must have been instructed by someone above. "I just don't know if they know anything that they shouldn't know after hiding in Subei for so long. The Subei army is independent of any forces in Subei. It's impractical for them to try to find out about the internal affairs of the Subei army." Xinyu agreed. Otherwise, they wouldn't have to spend so much effort to plant their own people inside. This was all thanks to Shang Junlin's original decision. Separating the Subei army from the internal affairs of the Subei army was opposed by the imperial court. However, Shang Junlin had already made up his mind to separate the Subei army from the internal affairs of the Subei army, no matter how much the ministers objected. Facts had also proven that this was the right decision. Otherwise, the matter in Subei would not have been resolved so easily. Other than the leaders of the northern desert people, the others will remain in Subei for interrogation and punishment. "I told Fang Jun not to have any misgivings," They have been sucking blood in Subei for so long, it's time to pay them back. Shang Junlin's tone was slightly cold. The northern desert should have also received the news. If they are escorted back to the capital, the journey will not be peaceful. Since they dared to attack the disaster relief materials, it means that they have their own forces near Subei. I must ask Lord Feng to keep an eye on them. It's best to ask them where they are hiding and take care of them first. This matter involved a lot of people. Capturing the person did not mean that everything was over. Dealing with the aftermath was also very important, especially since the northern desert and Subei were too close. If the northern desert really wanted to do something, although they were not afraid, it would still be troublesome. The Subei army had just experienced a natural disaster. It would be best if they could recuperate for a while. I will arrange for people to escort them. Feng Jun and the hidden dragon guards have been investigating the hideout of those people. The northern desert will send people to negotiate. The heavy burden of negotiating with the northern desert fell on Feng Jiai. According to her qualifications, this matter should not have fallen on her, but the Subei officialdom had just undergone a great purge, and the officials originally responsible for dealing with the northern desert were still in prison. The officials sent from the capital were mostly responsible for the construction and management of the Subei. With the previous experience, the officials unanimously agreed that Feng Jiai was the most suitable. This time, the people of the northern desert did not dare to underestimate this female official of the Great Huan dynasty. Their understanding of the women of the Great Huan dynasty had always been limited to the role of a housewife and children, so they were caught off guard. After deciding on the candidates, Feng Jun asked Feng Jiai to stay. These days, you can put aside your work for the time being and use the time to learn more about the northern desert. Last time, they misjudged. This time, they will be more serious. You must know enough about your opponents. This official understands. Feng Jiai handed over her work to her colleagues and focused on preparing for the negotiation with the northern desert. In order to know more about the northern desert, in addition to reading ancient books, she also asked the locals. In order to be more familiar with this case, she specifically went to He Qingyu and Jiang Huiqing to learn more details from them. After they were caught, the officials knew what He Qingyu and Jiang Huiqing had been doing during the time they disappeared. In order to prevent the information from leaking, this plan was only known to a few people, including Feng Jun from the beginning. The facts proved that their worries were not unfounded. After Mr. Sun and others were caught, through interrogation, they caught a few fish that had escaped the net and were hiding in the official's office. The people of the Subei had not recovered from the aftermath of the collusion between Lord Ho and other high-ranking officials with the northern desert. Now they were told that the people of the northern desert had been hiding around them. I thought that those damn officials had reached their limit by colluding with the enemy. I didn't expect that the enemy was around us. I know Mr. Sunday. His shop is very famous, and the things he sells are good. Many people like to buy things there. I didn't expect that he was also working for the people of the northern desert. Now I'm beginning to wonder if there are still people of the northern desert or their lackeys around us. What do you think those people are thinking? When the northern desert attacked the Subei, they burned, killed, looted, and committed all kinds of crimes. At that time, many innocent people died under the swords of the northern desert. Why did they work for the northern desert? For money, they even abandoned their conscience. What else could it be? Don't try to understand this kind of people. You can't understand. Lord Feng is really observant. If it were me, I would have closed the case after getting rid of those corrupt officials. If it weren't for Lord Feng, who was careful and found something wrong, this matter would not have been exposed for a while. Lord He and Lord Jiang are also very important. If it weren't for them taking risks, these people would not have been caught in such a short time. After He Qingyu and Jiang Huiqing returned, they received a lot of curious gazes. Some people couldn't help but ask them questions. This time, they had made a great contribution. After Feng Jun wrote a memorial to show his sincerity, he fought for higher official positions for the two of them. Your performance this time is worthy of praise. With you here, I feel more at ease leaving the Subei. After I leave, I'll leave the matters of the Subei to you. Fang Jun had stayed in the Subei for far longer than expected. Now that the matter was over, it was time for him to prepare for his departure. The transfer of power, the follow-up of the case of the Northern Desert people. Although he was ready to leave, he wouldn't leave before these things were properly handled. He Qingyu and Jiang Huiqing also gained a firm foothold in the Subei this time. After Shen Yu finished reading the documents from the Subei, he raised his eyebrows. Lord Fang asked for official positions for these two people. Did the ministers in the court say anything? For a newcomer who had just started out in the officialdom, it wasn't an exaggeration to say that they had reached the heavens in a single bound. Of course there are people who are dissatisfied. He Qingyu, Jiang Huiqing, and Fang Jiai have taken the limelight in the Subei and disrupted many people's plans. But no matter how dissatisfied they are, they can't deny the merits of the three people. The Subei needs capable officials to lead, and these three people appeared at the right time. If they don't give official positions to them, are they going to give them to people who have done nothing? Shang Junlin sneered. When they first sent people over, the court initially decided on the official positions for some people, but this didn't mean that these people were qualified. When they arrived in the Subei, they would be reappointed based on their performance. The Subei had many things to do, and didn't need officials who only fought for fame and fortune. In the blink of an eye, it was Shen Yu's birthday. Shang Junlin originally wanted to hold a large banquet, but was persuaded by Shen Yu on the grounds that he could hold a large banquet next year. He only held a small banquet at Yuzhang Palace. There weren't many people attending the banquet. The consort dowager brought Shen Yu over. After not seeing him for a while, Shen Yu had changed even more. There were no other masters in the palace. Shen Yu didn't have a good relationship with the Jinbei Marquis Fu. After asking Shen Yu, Shang Junlin didn't invite the people of the Jinbei Marquis Fu into the palace. There weren't many people, but it didn't appear cold and cheerless. There was no need to feign civility. Shen Yu liked this kind of atmosphere very much. Shen Yu made this for Guijun. He said that the people over there eat this on their birthday. It's called cake. After the consort dowager gave the birthday gift, she had a palace servant bring in a covered box. Cake. Shang Junlin heard this word for the first time. He couldn't help but be curious. Yes. The consort dowager smiled. That little girl struggled for a long time to make it. It looks very pleasing. Under the consort dowager's signal, the palace servant opened the box. A sweet and fragrant smell instantly overflowed. Shen Yu had always been fond of sweet things. After smelling the fragrance, he instantly sat up straight. His eyes couldn't help but glance at the box. Shang Junlin couldn't see through Shen Yu's thoughts. He waved his hand and asked the palace servant to bring the cake over. The palace servant was instructed to take the cake out of the box and put it on the table in front of Shen Yu. The cake was round and wasn't very big. It was decorated with many fruits. The appearance was very beautiful. As it got closer, the smell of the cake became more enticing. The palace servant cut a small piece and put it on the plate. Shen Yu took it and tasted it. He unconsciously narrowed his eyes. It's very delicious. Your Majesty should also try it. Shen Yu picked up a piece and fed it to Shang Junlin's mouth. Shang Junlin took a bite and said, "And it's very sweet." Shen Yu knew that Shang Junlin didn't like to eat sweet things like he did. He only fed him a bite occasionally. In addition to the cake, Shen Yu also took out several small transparent bottles. This is the perfume this servant made. For the time being, there are only a few scents. Perfume? Is it something similar to incense? Shen Yu picked up a bottle. The transparent glass bottle was filled with a transparent blue liquid. It looked very charming. Yes, but it's more convenient than incense. You only need to apply it on your body. The disadvantage is that the fragrance can't stay for too long. This servant has already written down the recipe. Shen Yu presented a thin book. This is what this servant made while making medical alcohol. One of the ingredients is alcohol. The fragrance is extracted from different kinds of flowers. They are all harmless to the human body. Shen Yu added. She knew that the perfume she made was very simple. It was nothing in modern times. However, in ancient times where there was no perfume, it was novel and convenient. The people of Dahuan loved incense. Shen Yu was one of the more unique ones. Perhaps it was because of his health that he couldn't accept incense. Xinyu didn't want to try it on himself. He turned to Shang Junlin and asked, "Your Majesty, do you want to try it?" Seeing the eagerness in Xinyu's eyes, Shang Junlin had no choice but to compromise. "Only you dare to ask me to try this and that." Under the guidance of Xinyu applied some of the perfume on Shang Junlin's wrist. A faint fragrance spread out. It was completely different from incense. Xinyu sniffed it. It was a very light fragrance. It wasn't pungent and was very comfortable. If this perfume is sold in a shop, it will definitely be very popular. Not only women, it would also be popular among men. Xinyu put down Shang Junlin's hand and said to Xinyu, "I will let people try it according to your method. If it is successful, I will give you a share of the profits." Xinyu didn't have the habit of taking things from others for free. He would pay for everything that Xinyu took out. After the small banquet, Shang Junlin brought Xinyu out of the palace. The place they went to this time was different from the previous times. It was a very spacious grassland. Xinyu looked around. "Your Majesty, why did you bring me here?" "The autumn hunt is about to begin. Do you know how to ride a horse?" Shang Junlin clapped his hands, and someone brought 2 horses over. One was black and the other was white. The black horse was obviously very familiar with Shang Junlin. It intimately went up to him. After being reborn, Xinyu had never ridden a horse. He walked forward and touched the other horse. "Your Majesty, do you want me to know how to ride a horse or not?" Chapter 151. I originally wanted to teach you, but it seems like you doesn't need it. Shang Junlin felt a little regretful. "I haven't ridden it for a long time. If your Majesty doesn't find it troublesome, you can teach me again." The white horse was very docile. As a stranger, Xinyu didn't have any reaction when he approached. "You try it first. I will watch you from the side." Hearing this, Xinyu flipped over and mounted the horse. It was obvious that he wasn't a novice. His movements were very beautiful. Xinyu sat on the horse and squinted his eyes as a gentle breeze blew over. Shang Junlin also got on the horse and steered the black horse to walk beside the white horse. The black horse didn't like this kind of slow pace and snorted a few times. Xinyu squeezed the horse's belly and let the white horse slow down for a few steps. After it got the feeling, it gradually sped up. Shang Junlin followed him at the same speed. After riding the horse for a round, Xinyu felt more and more carefree. In his previous life, he rode a horse for the sake of running. He rarely rode a horse just for the sake of riding a horse. "Your Majesty, why did you want to bring me here to ride a horse?" Xinyu pulled the reins and slowly slowed down the horse. The black horse also slowed down and took the initiative to approach the white horse. "I thought that I would feel bored staying in the palace all day. After riding a horse, my mood would be much better." Shang Junlin held the reins and looked at Xinyu. "I used to feel bored and would come here for a walk. After you entered the palace, I came less often. After a few days, Wu Kuang might not even recognize me." Wu Kuang was the black horse's name. When it heard its master call its name, it snorted. Shang Junlin reached out and patted the black horse's head. "It can really make me feel better. Your Majesty, why did you only bring me here now?" Xinyu raised his eyebrows slightly. "I thought that you wouldn't like it. Before you entered the palace, did you rarely ride a horse?" According to the information that the hidden dragon guards had gathered, Xinyu shouldn't know how to ride a horse. At the very least, he shouldn't be so familiar with riding a horse. Shang Junlin suppressed another doubt in his heart. "Duke Xinbei once asked someone to teach me how to ride a horse. That person took advantage of concubine Ru and made things difficult for me. For a long time, I really didn't like to ride a horse." These were all memories from a very long time ago. They had long since faded and settled in some unknown corner. Even if they were mentioned again, it would not cause any emotional fluctuations. After learning how to ride a horse, Xinyu didn't want to ride for a long time. Every time he got on a horse, he would think of that person's mean and belittling words, and he would think of those scars that shouldn't have landed on his body. Later on, in order to make a living, he had no choice but to ride a horse himself. In the face of life and death, the shadow of his childhood was dispelled, and the influence of that person completely disappeared. Shang Junlin tightened his grip on the reins. He could tell from Shen Yu's light tone that he didn't care about this matter. But he couldn't help but feel distressed. How old was he when he learned how to ride a horse? Little Shen Yu faced a malicious teacher. Learning how to ride a horse was a very scary thing for Shen Yu at that time. He faced the indifference from his father, the malice from his father's concubine, and the days when he couldn't participate. Little Yu had to suffer a lot before he became strong and calmly faced all of this. Feeling Shang Junlin's gaze, Shen Yu smiled and said, "Your Majesty, you know me. I usually take revenge on the spot. The person who taught me how to ride a horse didn't end well. In fact, he didn't dare to do anything to me. After all, if something happened to me, Duke Shinbei would not let him go. He just suffered a little more." After Shen Yu finished speaking, he suddenly realized that Shang Junlin's anger had become stronger. His comforting words didn't calm Shang Junlin's anger, but made him angrier and more scared. Shang Junlin rode his horse to Shen Yu's side. He stretched out his long arms and hugged Shen Yu in front of him. "Your Majesty?" Shen Yu bent down slightly and grabbed Shang Junlin's sleeve. "It's all in the past. I won't let anyone have the chance to hurt you in the future." Shang Junlin held the reins with one hand and tightly hugged Shen Yu in his arms with the other. "It's all in the past," Shen Yu laughed softly. "If I knew your Majesty cared so much, I wouldn't have said it." These things were equivalent to what happened in his previous life. It was so long ago, and he had already taken revenge. Thinking about it now, it didn't hurt or itch. "Why can't you say it to me? Those things happened to you. I feel very distressed." Shang Junlin didn't feel anything about what had happened to him, but he couldn't bear to see Shen Yu suffer even a little bit. Shen Yu leaned on Shang Junlin's chest and felt the steady and powerful heartbeat in his chest. An indescribable emotion slowly filled her chest. So this is what it feels like to be in someone's heart. So this is what it feels like to be sincerely loved by someone. What about him? Is his feeling for Shang Junlin also love? The black horse slowly trotted on the grass. Shang Junlin didn't say anything about letting go of Shen Yu, and Shen Yu didn't say anything either. Nestled in the man's arms, Shen Yu seemed to be thinking about a lot of things, but also seemed to be thinking about nothing. The white horse followed beside the black horse, and occasionally lowered its head to chew on the grass. Shang Junlin lowered his head and rubbed Shen Yu's cheek. "What are you thinking about?" "Your Majesty, tell me about the past." At this moment, Shen Yu really wanted to know more about Shang Junlin. "About my past? There's nothing to talk about. I couldn't stay in the palace anymore, so I asked to go to the border. Although it was difficult at the border, it was better than in the palace. Later, when I received military merits, no one dared to disrespect me after I returned to the capital. The previous emperor's princes were instigated to make trouble for me, but in the end, they only brought displeasure to themselves. Later on, they didn't come to provoke me." Shang Junlin originally thought that he wouldn't like to talk about the past, but now that he said it, he realized that the things that he thought he would never be able to let go had become insignificant in his life. "Does this grass field belong to your Majesty?" Shen Yu had never heard of such a place in the capital. "It was built after I ascended the throne," Shang Junlin nodded. "At that time, I stayed at the border for a long time and felt that I wasn't used to the life in the capital. When I had nothing to do, I would come here. There aren't many people who know about this place, right? They hadn't seen anyone since they came in. Other than the servants who stayed here from the beginning, no one else came here. As for outsiders, there seemed to be a young boy who accidentally broke in. His face was covered in dirt, so I had people send him out. At that time, I had just come back from the battlefield. The murderous aura on me was very strong, and it seemed to scare him. When I asked him, he didn't answer. Your Majesty, did you not punish him for disturbing your Majesty? Shen Yu turned to look at him. In a Yu's mind, am I such a murderous person? Shang Junlin smiled. It seemed that he could still remember the young boy's bright black eyes. Seeing that pair of beast-like eyes, Shang Junlin suddenly lost interest in pursuing the matter. He didn't punish the guard and only had people send the child out to repair the damaged areas. Since then, no one accidentally broke in. It was just a child. He didn't even know how he got in. He was just over there. Shang Junlin pointed to the front left. I saw him there. Xinyu looked in the direction Shang Junlin pointed. At that time, there were a few fences there, but they were later taken down. According to Shang Junlin's words, a picture appeared in Xinyu's mind. Those fences weren't very old, but they were damaged by the sun and wind. They were all tilted together. Xinyu blinked and said very softly, Your Majesty didn't investigate the child's background? At that time, I only stayed in the capital for a few days. The border was in a state of emergency, so I left. This matter was put aside. If you didn't mention it today, I might not have remembered. Shang Junlin felt that something was wrong. Why does you care so much about this matter? Does Your Majesty know? When I was young, I was chased by a group of unknown people. I fled to a deserted grassland. In order not to be recognized, I made my body and face dirty. Later, it rained heavily. I hid under the broken fences and prayed for the rain to stop. A cloak fell from the sky and covered me. This was something that Xinyu, who had experienced 2 lifetimes, firmly remembered in his heart. That day, he was drenched in the rain. After returning home, he had a high fever. His memory of the chase became very vague. The only thing he clearly remembered was the cloak that fell from the sky. This time it was Shang Junlin who was surprised. The arm around Xinyu's waist unconsciously tightened. His voice was full of uncertainty. The child I met at that time was you? I knew it. That day, I found a group of suspicious people near the horse farm. I thought they were coming for me. So they were coming for you? At that time, the relationship between the Great Huan and other countries was very tense, and there were all kinds of problems within the Great Huan. Shang Junlin would encounter a group of people who wanted to assassinate him every few days, and he was used to it, so he dealt with them without asking. He didn't need to ask who sent the people to assassinate him. He only needed to record down the account. So it turned out that Your Majesty saved me once. Later, those people didn't appear again. It seems that they were afraid of Your Majesty's existence. Xinyu's voice was tight. It turned out that Shang Junlin had protected him for so long without him knowing. Shang Junlin sighed and rested his head on Xinyu's shoulder. If I had known, I would have directly brought you back. Even if I asked a few more questions, it would have been better. However, he didn't ask anything. He only handed the unconscious child to the servant. After that, he didn't ask anything because of various things. Xinyu raised his hand and touched Shang Junlin's face. He whispered, This is already very good. We didn't miss each other. Shang Junlin leaned his head and kissed Xinyu. There was a burst of fear in his heart. If there was a slight deviation at that time, would he have completely missed you? Xinyu leaned his head and hugged the man's neck. He took the initiative to kiss him. Xinyu took the initiative to kiss him. Shang Junlin felt Xinyu's possessiveness from this kiss. The desire in his heart was instantly ignited. The deeper the kiss, the harder Shang Junlin hugged Xinyu's waist. The two of them were so close together that they could feel any changes in their bodies. You. After the kiss, Shang Junlin rubbed Xinyu's cheek. His voice was hoarse. Xinyu leaned on Shang Junlin's shoulder and moved her body. Shang Junlin suddenly grasped the reins. You. His voice was even hoarser. I'll take you back. After saying that, Shang Junlin pulled the reins and wanted the black horse to turn around. Xinyu held his hand. There were still tears in her eyes. She murmured, I don't want to go back. Shang Junlin's eyes were dark. He resisted the urge to tear her apart and eat her up. Who knew that the chosen prey not only didn't appreciate his kindness, but also came forward to tease him. I want to be here on the back of the horse on the ground, under the sky. Only Your Majesty and I. Does Your Majesty want to? Chapter 152. Shang Junlin's Adam's apple bobbed violently, indicating his thoughts. The man did not answer and directly kissed Xinyu. His blue and black clothes intertwined, undulating up and down. In the end, Xinyu paid a heavy price for taking the initiative to provoke him. Shang Junlin lay on the grass with Xinyu lying on top of him. The two horses, one black and one white, were leisurely grazing not far away. From time to time, they intimately rubbed against each other. Shang Junlin held Shen Yu's waist with one hand and placed the other hand on his back, gently stroking his soft hair. Shen Yu bit his lower lip. The corners of his eyes were red and misty, and his body was slightly trembling. "Are you okay?" Shang Junlin asked in a hoarse voice. Shen Yu shook his head. It was just that the aftertaste was too long, and he could not bear to be stimulated. Shen Yu felt something, and his eyes widened. "Your Majesty, you said that you will follow me today." Shang Junlin used a little force to stop Shen Yu from bouncing up. But just now, Shen Yu suddenly stopped, calmed his breathing, and said in a calm voice, "The ground was very dirty." The man chuckled and bit his red earlobe. "You don't worry. It won't be dirty like this." "Can't we wait until we go back?" Shen Yu gasped. You said it himself. Sitting on the back of a horse, enjoying the world and admiring the earth. I have to fulfill Yu's wish. Shang Junlin did what he said. After they went back, his hair and body were stained with grass. Only the ends of Shen Yu's hair were stained with grass. After changing his clothes, Shen Yu half lay on the bed and looked at the slightly embarrassed Shang Junlin. He laughed and said, "I said it would be very dirty." Shang Junlin took a long time to wash up, so he sat on the bed with half-dried water vapor. "Won't it be clean after washing?" Shen Yu lifted Shang Junlin's hair and looked at it, nodding. "It is clean." "Your Majesty, is it destined that you will let me go that day? If it was another person that appeared at that time, would you let him go?" Shen Yu retracted his hand and put it under his chin. Shang Junlin stared at him. "Maybe. I'm glad that I didn't do anything at that time." According to his temperament at that time, he would not let anyone go when he found a suspicious person, no matter whether the person was a man or a woman or how old they were. Of course, Shen Yu's escaped the environment, but also fell into Amorza's. SSSS. SSSSS. S's twos. It was different now. He had grown up and had the ability to protect Shen Yu from harm in the face of danger. They had met at the right time. Thinking about it, I still find it hard to believe that there is such a long hidden fate between me and His Majesty. Isn't it good? I once thought that it would be great if I could have met you earlier. I didn't expect that we had met long ago. Shang Junlin stroked Shen Yu's hair. You grew up in Jinbei Marquis Fu, and it was much safer for her to be by my side. Did the group of people who wanted to kill you never appear again? Yes, it only appeared once in my memory. Shen Yu even suspected that the encounter that day was just a dream. There was no pursuit, nor was there any warmth from the sky. Does you have any clues as to where those people came from? Those people had been killed long ago, and it happened many years ago. Even if there were clues left at that time, it would be difficult to find them now. At first, I suspected that they were concubine ruse people. Later, I tested them and found that they weren't. I was too young at that time, and I didn't have any useful people. I couldn't find anything after checking, so I could only leave it at that. This was also why Shen Yu suspected that it was a dream. At that time, he didn't know that those people had been killed by Shang Junlin. He only felt that these people appeared out of thin air and disappeared suddenly, and he couldn't find any trace of them. I remember that those people were the same as the others who wanted to assassinate me. They were specially trained killers. They couldn't have attacked you because they had a grudge against Jinbei Marquis. It shouldn't be. Everyone knows that Jinbei Marquis doesn't have any father-son affection for me. I have the title of the legitimate son, but that's all. If they wanted to take revenge on Jinbei Marquis, it would be better to directly find concubine Ru and her son instead of attacking me. Before Shen Yu entered the palace, concubine Ru had been in charge of the Jinbei Marquis' household. With Jinbei Marquis' favoritism, her position in the Jinbei Marquis' mansion was comparable to that of the legal wife. Everyone knew that Jinbei Marquis doted on this concubine very much. If it weren't for the law, she would have been promoted to the legal wife. Shang Junlin knew the situation in the Jinbei Marquis' mansion better, and he knew that Shen Yu was telling the truth. Everyone in the capital knew how much Jinbei Marquis doted on this concubine. It's not concubine Ru or Jinbei Marquis who would send so many well-trained killers to kill a child. I was young at that time, and I didn't go out of the Jinbei Marquis' mansion. It's definitely not just because of me. After eliminating all the reasons, what else is left? Xinyu thought about this question for the first time. In his previous life, until his death, no one had come to find trouble with him. Why did they only attack once? Why did they attack him? Have you ever thought that these people came for your mother? Shang Junlin frowned. Because of my mother? Shen Yu's eyes flashed with a trace of confusion. To him, mother was just a title. He had never heard anyone mention his mother. Until now, he knew very little about his mother. In fact, there's always been a very strange thing. Since I was young, I've never heard anyone talk about my mother. Others may not know about the internal affairs of the Jinbei Marquis' mansion, so it's normal that they don't know about it. However, no one in the mansion has ever mentioned it. Counting the time, several of Jinbei Marquis' concubines have been in the mansion since my mother was alive. There are also some old people who have been serving the mansion for a long time. They are always secretive about talking about my mother. I originally thought that it was because my mother had committed some taboo, so they didn't dare to mention it. Now it seems that it's not the case. If those people are really related to your mother, then your mother's identity is not simple. Your Majesty, I want to go to the mansion of Jinbei. Xinyu sat up. He had to know what was going on with the assassination. Because of this incident, the two of them unexpectedly appeared in the mansion of Jinbei the next day. Marquis, eldest young master has come to the mansion. Jinbei Marquis was discussing with his confidant. He had sent several invitations to Yuzhong Palace, but did not get a reply. This made him a little worried. The mansion of Jinbei Marquis had encountered some problems recently. If Shenyu was willing to stand on their side, many problems could be solved easily. Are you sure it's eldest young master? Jinbei Marquis stood up. The servant did not understand why Jinbei Marquis had such a big reaction, but he still nodded and said, "It's eldest young master." Eldest young master had been in the mansion for more than 10 years. He had only left for a few months, so he would not mistake him. Besides eldest young master, is there anyone else? Jinbei Marquis asked as he walked out. There is also the young master who came to the mansion last time. Jinbei Marquis suddenly stopped. He stroked his chest and gasped for breath. After he calmed down, he continued to walk forward. Greetings, Your Majesty. Jinbei Marquis sent all the servants out and saluted respectfully. When he saw them, Jinbei Marquis felt relieved. During this period of time when he was waiting for a reply, he had been very nervous. Before Shenyu left the mansion, they had a quarrel. He also knew that he had neglected this legitimate son. He intended to make up for it and repair the relationship. However, Shenyu had always turned a blind eye to the signals he gave. He originally wanted to use Shenyu's birthday to ease the relationship between the two sides. Seeing that time had passed and Yuzhong Palace had not given a definite reply, Jinbei Marquis suspected that Shenyu really did not want to care about the mansion of Jinbei. Shenyu brought Shang Junlin to the mansion of Jinbei. Marquis, you don't have to be so polite. Shang Junlin said lightly. This time, they came to the mansion of Jinbei without the emperor's honor. Just like last time, Jinbei Marquis only looked at their clothes and knew their intentions. He did not expose their identities in front of the servants. I have neglected you a lot in the past. I wanted to do something for you on this birthday. Jinbei Marquis wanted to build a relationship with Shenyu, but he was interrupted by Shenyu. I didn't see Marquis care so much in the mansion of Jinbei in the past. In this case, Marquis does not have to worry about these small things in the future. I came here this time because I have something to ask Marquis about my mother. Shenyu noticed that when he said the last sentence, Jinbei Marquis' expression changed instantly. Your mother has been dead for many years. There is nothing to say. Let the dead rest in peace. Jinbei Marquis' eyes flashed a touch of complexity. I want to know my mother's identity. As my mother's only child, I think I should be qualified to know my mother's true identity, right? Shenyu deliberately emphasized the word true. It's not that I don't want to say it, but I don't know. Jinbei Marquis sighed. Your mother didn't tell me. Shenyu was suspicious. How could the dignified Jinbei Marquis marry a woman of unknown origin? I didn't lie to you. I only know that her identity is not ordinary. I don't know the details. Jinbei Marquis wiped his face. Is she really dead? How did she die? She was sick. After you were born, she suddenly fell seriously ill. I invited all the famous doctors in the capital, even the Imperial Hospital, but they still couldn't save her. This matched the information Xinyu knew. For a moment, Xinyu didn't know whether Jinbei Marquis was lying or not. Then why has no one in the mansion of Jinbei ever said anything about my mother? In any case, she was the madam of the mansion of Jinbei Marquis. This was also your mother's request. I know that there are people your mother left by your side. Think about it. Did they also not talk about your mother? Xinyu thought about it and found that it was really like this. It seemed that with her passing, she also took away the traces she left behind. Xinyu went to ask several old people who served him, and also asked the concubines who had been in the mansion for a long time. The information he got was very little. This trip to the mansion of Jinbei Marquis not only didn't dispel the doubts in Xinyu's heart, but also made all kinds of doubts snowball. On the way back to the palace, Xinyu tried to recall the details of the assassination. But no matter how he tried, the memory of that day was vague. He didn't know when the assassination began, how long he had escaped, and how he returned to the mansion of Jinbei Marquis. There was also Zhu Wang's inexplicable words. Your Majesty, what do you think is Zhu Wang's purpose for setting up such a big trap and making Prince Yu believe in that sentence? Chapter 153. It was better to ask the person himself. After returning to the palace, Shang Junlin brought Xinyu to the palace where Zhu Wang was staying. How has Mr. Zhu been these 2 days? The servants must have been serving you well, right? Xinyu saw Mr. Zhu sitting in front of the stone table in the courtyard, and walked over to sit down. Shang Junlin sat beside him. Mr. Zhu looked at the two of them and mocked himself. Shouldn't the two of you know better than anyone else how I have been? Xinyu did not seem to understand the resentment in Mr. Zhu's voice and said casually, the servants in the palace were all carefully selected. It's good that they did not disappoint Mr. Zhu. Why did you lock me up here? Mr. Zhu put down the teacup in his hand and looked at the two of them sharply. We just wanted to invite Mr. Zhu to the palace as a guest. How can you say that we are locking you up? Are you complaining that the emperor and I did not treat you well? Xinyu smiled, but it did not reach his eyes. If you are not satisfied with anything, you can tell us. Shang Junlin added. Do you really think that you are treating a guest? Mr. Zhu's eyes twitched. Who would restrict their guest's freedom? Since Mr. Zhu was able to escape from the hidden dragon guards, it shouldn't be a problem for you to enter the palace, right? Xinyu pretended to be confused. The place that Mr. Zhu escaped from was much more heavily guarded than this place, right? What do you want? Mr. Zhu could tell that the two of them were doing this on purpose. Nothing much. I just wanted to see if Mr. Zhu, who has been rumored to be a god, could really understand destiny and transcend mortals. Now that I think about it. Xinyu clicked his tongue lightly, his meaning self-evident. You are just going to let him do whatever he wants? Mr. Zhu turned to look at Shang Junlin and asked in disbelief. I also want to know what Mr. Zhu is capable of as he was able to escape from the hidden dragon guards. Shang Junlin's words were a huge blow to Mr. Zhu. Mr. Zhu relied on his identity as a talented person, and was respected wherever he went. When had he ever been treated like this? For a moment, he was so angry that he couldn't even maintain his composure. He sneered and decided not to pretend anymore. Your Majesty, didn't you bring me to the capital for that proverb? When Shang Junlin sent people to King Yu's fief, Mr. Zhu purposely let people leak the proverb. He knew that with the current relationship between Shang Junlin and Xinyu, this proverb would definitely attract the other party's attention. This was also his goal. Sure enough, not long after, he felt that someone was secretly looking for him. He purposely exposed himself, and was brought to the capital. Then he escaped under the watchful eyes of the public. All of this was planned long ago. Everything was going according to plan until the moment before he took the initiative to appear in front of Shang Junlin. He did not understand what went wrong that caused the final outcome to deviate so much. He had been in this line of work for many years. He knew that the higher a person was, the more they cared about these things. No one was exempt from this. Even Shang Junyue, a prince, was like this, let alone the emperor Shang Junlin. If he really sneered at these things, why did he have to bring him to the capital from so far away? Zhen did have people bring you to the capital because of that proverb. Shang Junlin did not deny this point. Because this proverb involves the emperor. Zhen wants to know whether this proverb appeared accidentally or inevitably. Zhen wants to know whether it was intentional or not. Your Majesty doubts the authenticity of this proverb? Shang Junlin did not answer. Instead he asked, why did you say that to King Yu? Why? When this poor Taoist divines, he can tell whoever he wants. Does this poor Taoist need a reason? Mr. Zhu was furious and no longer acted like an expert. Was it really divined? Shen Yu's voice was filled with suspicion. Mr. Zhu could not stand it when others did not believe him. What benefits does this poor Taoist get by lying about this matter? If you want to talk about benefits, isn't it all for the two children of Duke Bei's family? They don't need to do anything to obtain the love of the emperor. On the surface, there was nothing wrong with Mr. Zhu's words. However, if one thought about it carefully, they would find that this was not the case. Does Mr. Zhu really think that this proverb is a good thing for us? If so, why doesn't Mr. Zhu say that you are the destined one? Shen Yu's lips curved mockingly. How can it be the same? How is it different? Mr. Zhu was speechless. You know very well in your heart that this sentence seems to be very beneficial to me, but in fact, it has firmly imprisoned my life. Those who approach me are all people with impure intentions. Those who I like might be afraid of getting close to me, because of the meaning behind this sentence. Compared to enjoying glory and wealth for nothing, the greater possibility is that I will become the target of those with ambition, and will never be able to find peace. Shang Junlin held Shen Yu's hand that was hanging by his side. Shen Yu paused for a moment, and held Shang Junlin's hand back. He continued, it doesn't matter whether this proverb was divined by you or not. When you spread this proverb, you should have known what would happen to me and Shen Qingran because of this proverb. I am not curious about whether this proverb is true or not. I just want to know where your hostility towards me comes from. Mr. Zhu avoided his gaze and said, this poor Taoist doesn't know what you are talking about. You have been planning this from the very beginning when you contacted Prince Yu. Now that you saw that Prince Yu could not achieve your goal, you set your sights on His Majesty. Let me guess, you will do what you did to Prince Yu in the past, and find a way to make His Majesty believe in your words. Then you will propose to bring Shen Qingran closer to the palace, right? Mr. Zhu avoided his gaze even more. Why do you know all this? He had never told anyone about his plan. Those people worshipped him as a god. They only needed to obey his orders. They didn't need to know what he wanted to do. Why do I know? Shen Yu lowered his eyes. He just thought of many suspicious points in his previous life. For example, Prince Yu sometimes favored him, and sometimes Shen Qingran. If Prince Yu approached him with the purpose of conquering the world from the beginning, then Mr. Zhu hid behind the scenes and manipulated everything. Those strange points could be explained. Now that I am suspicious of you, I will not let you go before I solve my doubts. If you take the initiative to tell me, you will suffer less. That proverb is true. Mr. Zhu struggled for a while. He seemed to have figured something out. It's just that the result of the divination only pointed to you. Your concubine-born brother was added by me out of selfishness. You are right. I really don't want you to have an easy time. After all, you are that person's child. At the end, Mr. Zhu smiled strangely. The debt she owes should be paid by you. Do you know my mother? Shen Yu grasped Shang Junlin's hand tightly. Unfortunately, no matter how Shen Yu asked, Mr. Zhu refused to speak about his mother. Don't worry. Zhen will send people to investigate. Shang Junlin held Shen Yu's hand and walked back to Yuzhong Palace. Zhen won't take Zhu Wang's words seriously. I'm very curious. What did mother do that year to make everyone keep their mouths shut about her existence? No matter if they loved her or hated her, no one was willing to speak about her. Shen Yu couldn't figure it out. Maybe it wasn't that they didn't want to speak, but that they couldn't. Too many things happened that year. The former emperor was deposed and the power in the imperial court changed. Everything was mixed together. Shang Junlin looked at the clouds in the sky. It was also that year that his life underwent an earth-shattering change. The death of the Duke of Jinbei's wife was just a small splash in the rolling waves. Her presence among the nobles in the capital was not very high. After her death, the Duke of Jinbei's mansion did not make a big deal out of it. When everything was settled, another woman appeared beside the Duke of Jinbei. Ru Yinyang's appearance covered all traces of Duke Bei's wife's existence in the shortest time possible. Duke Bei said that he didn't know the origin of Mother. I don't believe it. Xinyu blinked and said in a soft voice, Your Majesty, I want to know what happened that year. You will know. Shang Junlin hugged Xinyu tightly in his arms. Zhen promises. Xinyu didn't want to know the truth out of kindness for his mother. Instead, he intuitively felt that there was a crucial secret related to him hidden in this matter. Those people in his previous life didn't reveal themselves until his death. What would happen after his death? What would happen to the story? Xinyu had no way to know. Xinyu gave the perfume recipe he got from Xinyu to shopkeeper Su. Shopkeeper Su's shop expanded again. After discussing with Xinyu, they opened a branch in Jiangnan. The wealth of Jiangnan was not inferior to that of the capital. Long before the branch was opened, there were aristocratic families in Jiangnan who specially hired people to come to the capital to buy perfume. Feng Jun returned to the capital before the start of the autumn hunt. He also brought back the people from the northern desert who were caught in Subei with him. Feng Jun made a great contribution this time. The courtiers also knew that the position in the cabinet was reserved for him. When Shang Junlin issued the decree, they weren't surprised. At this point, there were 2 courtiers in Dahuan's cabinet who held the same position as Shang Junlin. The day of the autumn hunt quietly arrived. The Shangyi Bureau sent new clothes. Shang Junlin's clothes were still black with dragon patterns embroidered on them. Xinyu's clothes were red and black. The black was requested by Xinyu, and the red was designated by Shang Junlin. A group of people went to the location of the autumn hunt. The area around Mount Chiyue had already been cleared. They were just waiting for the emperor to bring the courtiers. The founding emperor of Dahuan attached great importance to martial arts. The annual autumn hunt had been passed down since then, and had never been interrupted. Isn't it said that His Majesty dotes on His Highness? Why don't I see His Highness's honor guard? A courtier looked ahead curiously. The higher the status, the more they cared about these formalities. In the harem, the empress, imperial concubine, different positions had different honor guards. At the front of the procession, there was only the emperor's honor guard. His Highness's honor guard was nowhere to be seen. More than one courtier noticed this problem. Recently, because of the redistribution of power in the imperial court, the courtiers didn't pay attention to Shang Junlin's private affairs. They didn't pay attention to the harem. The courtiers discussed in private. In the carriage at the front, Xinyu lowered the curtain. When they see me coming down from His Majesty's carriage, I don't know what they will say. They don't need to interfere in my affairs. The carriage slowly came to a stop. Shang Junlin got off the carriage. The courtiers were about to greet him when Shang Junlin turned to the carriage and stretched out his hand. His slender white fingers stretched out and put on the emperor's outstretched hand. The emperor's arm exerted force and the person in the carriage was carried out. The courtiers widened their eyes and watched Xinyu being carried out of the emperor's carriage. Chapter 154. The surprise on the faces of the ministers could not be concealed. Even if there was only Guijun in the harem, Guijun was only Guijun. At most, he would be the deputy empress. Since ancient times, only the empress had the right to sit with the emperor. What did His Majesty mean by this? The ministers secretly looked at the others. Was His Majesty planning to make Xinyu the empress? Shang Junlin did not care about what these people thought. After carrying Xinyu down, he said a few words to the ministers, and then took Xinyu to the tent. The ministers left behind looked at each other. After a long time, someone couldn't help but say, "What is His Majesty thinking? Even if he dotes on Guijun, he should not go against the ancestral rules like this." Do you still not understand His Majesty's attitude? At the beginning, His Majesty promised that there would only be Guijun in the harem. Whether he is Guijun or the Empress, is there a difference? Another minister sneered. Are we going to let His Majesty do as he pleases? What His Majesty wants to do, is it something you and I can control? I say the autumn hunt is a happy day. Don't make yourself unhappy because of some small things. So what if we speak? His Majesty will still do what he should do. This minister's words received a lot of agreement. Only some old-fashioned ministers still frowned. They really could not stand this kind of impolite thing. Even if we know Guijun's importance in His Majesty's heart, as long as Guijun is not the Empress, she should follow Guijun's rules. Etiquette cannot be ignored. Do you want to remind His Majesty to make her the Empress soon? The Minister of Rights frowned. You probably don't know. His Majesty once mentioned making her the Empress, but it was put aside for some reason. If you want His Majesty to make Guijun the Empress soon, you can mention it. This time, a few people who were eager to try showed hesitation on their faces. Their purpose was to suppress Guijun's arrogance, not to make her the Empress. His Majesty really talked to you about making her the Empress? After the ministers dispersed, the Prime Minister walked to the Minister of Revenue and asked in a low voice, "How could I lie about this?" The Minister of Revenue shook his head. It happened a few days ago. I thought I had to start preparing for the coronation ceremony. I didn't expect His Majesty to only mention it once and never mention it again. The Prime Minister pondered. You and I both know what His Majesty is like. Since he brought up this matter, he must have had such an idea. As for why he gave up later on, it most likely has something to do with you. The Minister of Revenue said, Actually, I don't object to His Majesty conferring Guijun as Empress. The things that Guijun has done, if taken to the previous court, are all worthy of praise. Other people can't do this. Moreover, His Majesty has no intention of taking in new people. Prime Minister. Did His Majesty cancel next year's election again? The Minister of Revenue said, Before you entered the palace, His Majesty didn't like these things, saying that they were a waste of money and manpower. Now that His Majesty has someone by his side, it's normal for him to be pushed away. The Prime Minister. The court will be lively then. The election was held every 3 years to select women from the populace to fill the imperial harem. When the previous emperor was on the throne, every year's election was especially lively. After the new emperor ascended the throne, this craze gradually subsided. The first election was rejected by Shang Junlin on the grounds that he had to go to war. The second election was rejected with the reason that the populace needs to recuperate and there's no need to waste money and manpower. The third election was held next spring. No one knew what reason the emperor would use this time. It's good that those women don't enter the imperial harem. Otherwise, the imperial harem will be entangled with the power of the previous court, and it will be more complicated. Although that was what the Prime Minister said, he also knew that this kind of situation was hard to avoid. People like Shang Junlin were in the minority, and could even be said to be rare. In all the previous emperors, there was no one in the imperial harem who didn't have women sent into the palace by their ministers. The ministers needed to use this opportunity to strengthen their position, and the emperor also needed to use this opportunity to win over his ministers. Shang Junlin was different. His method of ascending the throne was different from the other emperors. Those who tried to use the ancestral system and other reasons to control him were all killed by him. Under his ruthless methods, no one dared to go against him. After many years of practice, the ministers in the court also knew that if they made the emperor unhappy, they would be making themselves unhappy. Unless it involved their own interests, under normal circumstances, they wouldn't make themselves unhappy. Shen Yu's luggage was placed together with Shang Junlin's, and the palace servants nimbly packed it up. Your Majesty, where do I live? Shen Yu waited for a while, but no one brought him to his residence. He was puzzled. Other than by my side, where else does you want to go? Shang Junlin lifted Shen Yu's hair that was hanging down. When I came here, it was already eye-catching enough that I rode in the same carriage with Your Majesty. Now Your Majesty wants me to live here. Are you trying to test the tolerance of the ministers? Shen Yu's fingertips brushed across the man's chest. Even through the clothes, Shang Junlin still felt a raging fire where his fingertips were brushed. Shang Junlin grabbed Shen Yu's hand, and his other hand wrapped around Shen Yu's waist. He pulled Shen Yu close to himself. That's their business. What does it have to do with me? You and I are husband and wife. We should live together. Or is you willing to let me stay alone in an empty room? I didn't say that. Shen Yu rolled his eyes. I'm just afraid that those people will submit memorials and say something about me. You is worried about this? Shang Junlin's eyes were smiling. He slowly approached Shen Yu, and his low magnetic voice sounded in her ears. Then you will serve your husband well. I won't let them say anything. How about it? Shouldn't your majesty solve the trouble you caused yourself? Shen Yu's earlobe was bitten after he finished speaking. It wasn't heavy, but there was a numbing feeling spreading from her earlobe. The tip of his teeth ground, and her earlobe instantly turned red. Shen Yu's body trembled. Her sensitive earlobe was finally released after being bullied. The man's lips didn't immediately withdraw, but he kissed the bright and tender place. The trembling feeling came one after another. Shen Yu clutched the man's clothes in front of his chest. Her body was weak. If it weren't for Shang Junlin's arms supporting her, she would have slipped down. The kiss went all the way down, and the faint marks were covered one by one. Shen Yu's hand holding the man's clothes became more and more forceful. Before the situation developed to the point of no return, Eunuch Meng's voice sounded outside the tent. Your Majesty, the Prime Minister and several officials want to see you. The charming atmosphere was interrupted. Shang Junlin frowned unhappily, and a storm was brewing in his eyes. Shen Yu looked at the unhappy man on top of her and couldn't help laughing. Your Majesty, you should go quickly. Don't let the Prime Minister and the others wait for too long. Shang Junlin looked at the person under him faintly, and reluctantly took his hand out from under his clothes. Don't mention other men and don't gloat. Shang Junlin fiercely bit Shen Yu's lips. Wait for me to come back. After tidying up his clothes, Shang Junlin walked out. Eunuch Meng followed behind and wondered. Didn't you just arrive? Why does your Majesty look so unhappy? Shen Yu lay on the bed for a while, then slowly got up and tidied up his clothes. Mu Shi came in to serve after receiving Shang Junlin's orders. She was stunned when she saw Shen Yu. What's wrong? As soon as she spoke, Shen Yu felt a little pain on his lips, and subconsciously reached out to touch it. Young master's lips are bleeding. I'll go get the ointment. Mu Shi finished speaking and walked out. Their things were not completely tidied up, and some of them were outside. Shen Yu put down his hand. Sure enough, there was blood on his hand. He stuck out his tongue and licked it. The faint taste of blood filled his mouth, and there was a tingling sensation on his lips. Mu Shi quickly came in with the ointment. This ointment was also prescribed by Imperial Physician Gu, but it was different from the ointment used there. Shang Junlin liked to leave all kinds of marks on his body every time, and it was difficult to disappear without applying ointment for a long time. It looked very scary, so Shang Junlin asked Imperial Physician Gu to make a special ointment. It was very cooling when applied to his lips. Shen Yu wanted to go out for a walk, but he thought about his current appearance and decided not to. He simply took a book and sat down to read, waiting for the strange feeling on his body to dissipate before going out. It was Mu Shi's first time here, and everything was very new to her. Shen Yu did not intend to restrict her, and waved his hand to let her go out to play. This time, when they left the palace, most of the people they brought with them were palace servants who served in the Jade Gate Palace. Ever since Shen Yu entered the palace, Shang Junlin had never stayed anywhere else, so the people of the Jade Gate Palace were more handy. Shang Junlin was busier. The autumn hunt was not only a time for the emperor and the ministers to relax, but also a kind of alternative assessment. Especially for the young officials and generals, if they could hunt enough game, it was also a good opportunity to show off in front of His Majesty. They rubbed their fists and palms in anticipation of the upcoming hunt, eager to give it a try. Before the start of the hunt, Shang Junlin, as the emperor, would say a few words of encouragement, set the rewards, and shoot the first arrow to symbolize a good omen for this year. The juniors of the ministers' families could also participate in the hunt. If they could perform well in the hunt and leave a good impression on His Majesty, it could not be better. Young people were always the main force of the competition. Shang Junlin had always been generous, and the winner would receive a generous reward. Not only could they leave a good impression on His Majesty, but they could also receive a large reward. For the participants, it was a profitable business. Shen Yu, as the legitimate son of Count North, was fully qualified to participate in the hunt. However, he had never come even once. Every time he came, he would be asked to stay at home by Count North with the excuse of poor health. Shen Yu laughed at himself. How could concubine Ru give him a chance to climb up? She wished that he could not do anything and be suppressed by her good son. Shen Yu stood not far away, watching the man surrounded by the ministers. Hearing the man's steady and powerful voice through the breeze, his heart was faintly warm. This man was his. While he was distracted, a shadow fell in front of him. Shen Yu looked up. Shang Junlin had ridden in front of him and was looking down at him. Do you want to ride with me, Yu? The man stretched out his hand and invited him. Shen Yu's mind flashed with the image of the two of them fooling around on horseback. He shook his head and refused. Did your Majesty bring my white horse? Shang Junlin stared at him for a while and frowned. You don't want to ride with me? It's the same if I ride with your Majesty. Otherwise, Wu Kuang will be angry. Shen Yu laughed. Shang Junlin made a gesture. Not long after, the familiar white horse appeared in Shen Yu's sight. Shen Yu took the reins and mounted the horse. I still like the feeling of riding with your Majesty. Shang Junlin did not comment. He did not point out that Shen Yu was shy because of what happened last time. Your Majesty, have you seen Shen Qingran in the autumn hunt before? Shen Yu looked at the man riding with him. Your troublesome concubine-born brother? Shang Junlin thought for a while. Count North brought him here before? I don't have any impression of him. But since I know now, I'll take away his salary for a few years. Chapter 155. Shen Yu couldn't help but laugh. What are you laughing at? Shang Junlin's fingers moved slightly. He wanted to pinch Shen Yu's face. Why did your Majesty suddenly think of punishing Sir Jinbei? Shen Yu's voice was still smiling. It happened before. I'm afraid Sir Jinbei didn't expect that your Majesty would bring up the past. It's about a you. There's no such thing as past. I'll let them pay back the pain they inflicted on you little by little. He didn't say anything because it wasn't the best time yet. Sir Jinbei cares about his face the most. After this incident, he will only hate Shen Qingran more. Shen Yu could imagine what Sir Jinbei was thinking. He would definitely think that if there was no Shen Qingran and his son, he wouldn't be separated from his legitimate eldest son. No matter whether his legitimate eldest son developed in the court or entered the harem, it could bring great benefits to the Lord Protector's manor. He wouldn't have to worry about the revenge from his legitimate eldest son. Every day like now, they were supposed to be the closest people, but they almost became enemies because of others' instigation. Didn't Sir Jinbei want to get benefits from Shen Yu? Of course he wanted to, but Shen Yu's performance made him feel uncertain. So he didn't dare to go too far. After all, it was true that he was neglected for more than 10 years before entering the palace. It was also true that he let his concubines and illegitimate sons bully him. It was also true that he didn't care about him. If he didn't resolve these resentments, how could Sir Jinbei dare to get benefits from Shen Yu? On the surface, Shen Yu didn't fall out with others. Occasionally, he would give some advice. Shang Junlin would also reward him from time to time. But that level of reward was far from what a true doting person should give. Sir Jinbei knew that this was because the two directly entered Yuzhang Palace. What the Lord Protector's manor got was just a superficial thing. The more Shen Yu was favored, the more complicated Sir Jinbei's mood was. Facing the compliments of outsiders, he felt proud on one side, but also like his heart was stabbed by knives. Shen Yu knew how much Duke Jinbei had been tortured. What he wanted was this effect. He had tasted it since he was a child. He should let Duke Jinbei have a taste of it. Why would you suddenly ask me if I've seen your younger brother? The contestants had already entered the forest to hunt. Shen Yu and Shang Junlin walked leisurely on the path in the forest. The guards were far behind them so that no one would disturb them. I just suddenly remembered that he used to talk to me about hunting. He said that Your Majesty was very brave. I thought that Your Majesty had seen him before. Shen Yu's tone was a little lazy. Is you jealous? Shang Junlin chuckled. Knowing that Her Majesty is coveted by others, I'm really unhappy, Shen Yu said calmly. He didn't think there was anything to hide. We are very happy, you. The light in the man's eyes suddenly brightened. His eyes, which were as deep as the night sky, stared at Shen Yu without blinking. It was as if he wanted to suck him in. This time Duke Xunbei didn't bring anyone with him, right? Shen Yu felt uncomfortable being stared at. He turned his head and looked to the other side. Shang Junlin nodded. This time only Duke Xunbei came from the Duke Xunbei's residence. Let's not talk about him. Let's hunt. Looking at the small animals running by from time to time, Shen Yu was a little tempted. You, what do you want? We will hunt it for you. At this moment, a gray rabbit appeared in the grass in front of them. Whoosh! Two sounds of something piercing through the air sounded one after the other. The rabbit was nailed to the ground. The people waiting on the side quickly dismounted and picked up the rabbit. How is it? Shang Junlin asked faintly. Your Majesty, the rabbit was hit by 2 arrows. Needless to say, they also saw the 2 arrows. One went through the rabbit's eyes, killing it in one shot, and the other went through the rabbit's calf. One went up and one went down, firmly nailing the rabbit to the ground. The arrow that went through the rabbit's calf was shot by Shen Yu. Shen Yu put down the bow and rubbed his wrist. This young body had been pampered for too long. It was even more tiring than in his previous life. Shang Junlin looked at the rabbit. This is a use. Your Majesty, everything that you hunt is mine? Shen Yu pointed at the rabbit. The bodyguards following them didn't know how the two of them interacted in private. They were shocked when they heard this. They secretly thought, Your Majesty is too bold in front of His Majesty. Everything that I hunt is a use. They didn't need to participate in the competition. They rode slowly on the horses in the mountains. Hunting became an incidental thing. At first, Shen Yu was a little rusty. Later, his movements became smoother and his aim became better. The two of them walked and stopped for a while. They had a good harvest. That deer is mine. Shen Yu's interest was aroused. There was obvious excitement in his words. Shang Junlin naturally wouldn't compete with him. He was one step behind. He watched Shen Yu pull the bow, knock the arrow, and release the arrow. Along with the sound of something breaking through the air, there was the sound of the deer falling to the ground. Shang Junlin didn't have the mind to care about the deer. All his attention was firmly captured by the scene just now. The beauty in red was heroic. Under the riding clothes, the curves of her body were perfectly outlined. Because of the arm that pulled the bow, the shoulder and neck formed a perfect arc. At this moment, Shen Yu was completely different from the young man Shang Junlin was familiar with. He bloomed with all the radiance. It was so dazzling that people couldn't take their eyes off him. Your Majesty, look. Shen Yu turned around and bumped into the man's deep eyes. You is very powerful. Shang Junlin's voice was hoarse. Shen Yu was about to say something when the sound of horse hooves came from not far away. Then, a rude and unreasonable female voice sounded. This is obviously the prey that I saw first. How can you take it away first? Shen Yu raised his eyebrows. The road they chose didn't overlap with the main field. How could there be people coming over? Not long after, a group of people appeared at the place where the deer fell. The leader was a woman in red riding clothes. When the woman saw Shen Yu, a touch of surprise flashed in her eyes. After the surprise, it turned into deep jealousy. She wore red because she wanted to be the most outstanding person in the crowd. She didn't expect that the young man in red in this remote place was even more outstanding. They were both red. With just a glance, she knew that she had lost. She had lost completely. Jealousy was like a poisonous snake gnawing at her heart. The woman's face turned cold. You stole my prey. How should I compensate you? She was so focused on destroying the person in front of her that she didn't notice that something was wrong around her. Shang Junlin's clothes were embroidered with dark dragon patterns. If the woman's attention was focused on the surroundings, she would have noticed that something was wrong. Unfortunately, she didn't. Her eyes fell on Xinyu's face, as if she wanted to tear his face off. Xinyu frowned slightly. The woman's malice was too obvious. He couldn't ignore it even if he wanted to. He turned his head and saw Shang Junlin pursing his lips, suppressing the anger in his heart. Your Majesty, do you know who that person is? Xinyu lowered his voice and asked. The leader of the group of people was obviously the woman in red. There were no other men around except for the guards. Xinyu was sure that he had never seen this person before. Her malice towards him seemed to be purely out of jealousy, combined with her surprise at first sight. It was most likely because of his face. Xinyu touched his face. He never thought that one day he would be hated by a strange woman because of his face. She should be a family member of a minister. Affected by his master's mood, Wuqiang restlessly paced back and forth. Sister, this deer was shot by that young master. It should be that young master's prey. The woman in green beside the woman tried to persuade her, but she was pushed off the horse by the woman. Is my business something that you, a concubine's daughter, have the right to care about? The people around the woman turned a blind eye to this situation. Obviously, they were used to the woman's domineering behavior. Xinyu pulled Shang Junlin's sleeve and interrupted him. He deliberately said in a provocative tone, "It's obviously my prey. How can it be yours just because you say it's yours? If we didn't chase it until it was exhausted, how could you shoot it?" The woman disdainfully said. She didn't just want the prey now. She also wanted to take the opportunity to destroy Xinyu. Well, if you are willing to take the initiative to admit your mistake, I will not pursue your fault. Xinyu smiled. Hunting is a matter of first come, first served. It doesn't matter if this deer was driven here by you or it was originally here. Now that my arrow hit it, it is mine. When Xinyu smiled, his beauty was even more soul-stirring. People who were familiar with him would know that under his beautiful smile, there was a rising anger. Do you really want to go against me? The woman saw Xinyu's smile and only felt more dazzling. How about this? You and I have a competition. If I lose, the deer is yours. If you lose, you take the initiative to admit your mistake and withdraw from this hunting competition. How about it? Of course, I can't let others help me. I will compete with you personally. As a 7 feet tall man, don't you dare to compete with a weak woman? You are not qualified to ask him to leave. Shang Junlin suppressed his anger and said. If Xinyu didn't stop him, he would have let people drag the woman away. Are you and him a couple? Why are you so protective of him? The woman diverted a little attention to the man in black, beside the red-clothed young man. The woman came to the capital with her father, because of the change of power in the imperial court. In her original place, her father was the highest official in the local area, and her mother was born in the head of the local aristocratic family. She was the only legitimate daughter in the family. Since she was young, she could get whatever she wanted. She had developed a domineering temperament, and no one dared to disobey her. The green-clothed woman fell to the ground and silently broke out in a cold sweat for the 2 people in front of her. She was well aware of how ruthless her older sister was. Before she came to the capital, there were many servant girls in the residence who were slightly more beautiful that had fallen under her hands. Not only maidservants, if there were women in other families who were more beautiful than her, disfigurement was a better result. If it was more serious, their reputation would be ruined, and even worse, they would die after being humiliated. She opened her mouth and wanted to remind the 2 people in front of her not to provoke her legitimate sister. But she couldn't even protect herself. How could she help others? How ridiculous it was to say that she, a concubine's daughter, was not qualified to meddle in her affairs. But she should be the legitimate daughter. It was her sister, the mother and son, who took everything away from her. This was something they were well aware of. The woman in black lowered her head, and Xinyu caught the flash of hatred in her eyes. Xinyu was not interested in the grievances between the 2 sisters. You don't have to worry about the relationship between me and him. As for the competition, I don't think I need to agree to your unreasonable request for the prey that originally belonged to me, right? The woman originally planned to do something in the competition, and it would be better to hurt the face. The woman rode her horse to the side of the deer that fell on the ground. In this case, I won't be polite and will take the prey. I will return the arrow to you." After saying this, the woman bent down to pull the arrow. "If you dare to touch my things, do you believe that I will directly let go?" Xinyu pulled the bow to the full and aimed at the woman. His eyes slightly narrowed. "My arrow doesn't care whether the target is prey or a person." Chapter 156. The woman's movement slowly stopped. Through his slightly cold eyes, she clearly realized that the young man was not lying. The sharp tip of the arrow was pointed at her. It seemed that as long as she moved again, the other party would let go of his hand and let the cold arrow break through the air and shoot towards her. The expression on her face also froze. A chill climbed up her back and her hair stood on end. A huge crisis shrouded her head. She wanted to say a few harsh words, but she couldn't say a word. She had been domineering for so many years, but this was the first time she felt threatened by others. For a moment, she was shocked and angry. Her hatred for the young man reached its peak. She had never been treated like this. She had never been wronged like this. In fear, the woman didn't dare to pull the arrow. She didn't really care about her life. If she was hurt because of a momentary pleasure, the loss would outweigh the gain. But she couldn't just let it go. She would remember this account and settle it in the future. Didn't he point the arrow at her? When it fell into her hands, she wanted to see if the young man could still maintain his current expression when his cheek was scratched by the arrow. The woman gave up her original action and slowly sat up straight. She urged the horse to retreat a few steps and leave the shooting range. She said, "This is under the emperor's feet. Do you really dare to shoot me?" Xinyu slowly turned the direction and pointed the sniper at her again. "You can try. See if I dare." He had nothing to fear. The woman heard these words from his behavior and tone. She didn't dare to do anything else, but her mouth refused to forgive him. How can you easily hurt people under the emperor's feet? If you really hurt me today, can you leave unharmed? Didn't you do the same thing? Xinyu glanced at the woman in green who was still sitting on the ground. What? You can get away with hurting people, but I have to be punished for hurting people? She is just a concubine's daughter. If she is hurt, then she is hurt. Can anyone complain for her? The woman raised her head and said with disdain, "If you hurt me, my father won't let you go. Then you have to have a chance to complain. Don't you think so?" As if to confirm Xinyu's words, the guards behind them looked at the woman with murderous eyes. "What are you trying to do?" The woman was terrified. "There are so many of us. Are you going to kill all of us? This place is far away from the main road." Xinyu looked around. "Even if something happens, no one will find out in a short time. Not many people know that you came here, right?" The woman bit her lips. The young man was right. She had indeed chased after her prey. Her goal was to obtain good results and show her face in front of His Majesty. She had heard that His Majesty liked red, so she purposely wore red today. She did not expect to meet someone who was better than her in every aspect. She looked at the young man again, and realized that he was not lying. He really wanted to kill her. At this moment, the sound of hooves could be heard from the forest. The noises of people were getting closer and closer. "Are you sure the young lady went this way?" A dignified male voice sounded. "This servant is sure. Young Miss chased a fox over here. Master, it's over there. Young Miss is over there." As he got closer, he could vaguely hear their conversation. Hearing the familiar voice, the woman's face lit up. Her suppressed arrogance was reignited. "Fox." Xinyu smiled faintly. "I shot a deer. How could there be a fox nearby?" The woman pursed her lips. Of course, she knew that the fox had run away. Saying that sentence was just an excuse to get the deer. While they were talking, the people on the other side had already walked towards them. Seeing the two sides faintly confronting each other, the middle-aged man was stunned. "What's going on?" "Someone just called the deer a fox and wanted to extort the deer I shot." Xinyu had already put down his bow. He did not really intend to do anything to the woman. "Father, they stole my prey and wanted to hurt me. You have to get justice for your daughter. How can two men bully a weak woman?" The woman saw that her backer had come. She was full of energy, and her eyes flashed with a touch of insidiousness. She would get back the face she had just lost 1,000 times. The middle-aged man frowned and looked to the other side. He wanted to say something, but after seeing who was opposite, he suddenly closed his mouth. Of all the people to provoke, why did they have to provoke the two most untouchable people in Dahuan? The man did not dare to delay. He jumped off his horse, walked a few steps forward, and respectfully knelt down. "This official greets your majesty." "Father, what are you doing?" The woman covered her mouth in shock. She could not believe what she had heard. What was her father saying? The person opposite was the emperor. "Su Darren has taught his daughter well." Shang Junlin's tone was light. Su Darren's forehead was covered in sweat. His whole body was tense. If the emperor did not ask him to stand up, he did not dare to stand up. He maintained his kneeling position and did not move. It was not easy for him to be transferred to the capital. It was very likely that today's matter would be ruined. The others did not dare to stay on their horses. No matter if they were sitting or standing, they all crawled and fell to their knees. Their foreheads touched the ground, and they did not dare to breathe. They never thought that their first meeting with the emperor would be under such circumstances. The woman's face was completely white. No matter how unwilling she was to believe it, she had to admit that the person opposite her was the emperor of Dahuan. What did she do? The woman knelt on the ground, her body trembling uncontrollably. She did such a thing in front of the emperor. She did not dare to think of the consequences. Su Darren did not teach his daughter well. There is no need to rush to take office. As for your good daughter, Shang Junlin looked at the woman with disgust. She spoke rudely to Zhen and the emperor. Punish her according to the law. Punish according to the law. That would be taking his daughter's life. Su Darren thought of his wife at home and had to plead. I beg your majesty to give her a way out. My daughter is young and ignorant. She did not know the identity of your majesty and the emperor. This official only has one daughter, so it is inevitable that she has been spoiled. I beg your majesty to be lenient. This humble girl really did not know. The Su family's daughter kowtowed. If this humble girl knew that it was your majesty and the emperor, even if this humble girl had 10,000 guts, this humble girl would not dare to be disrespectful. So you are saying that if your majesty and I did not have our current identities, we would be bullied by others? Xingyu coldly sneered. Then can I guess that Miss Su has done such things before? After speaking, Xingyu turned to Shang Junlin. Your majesty, why don't we investigate together? Otherwise, there will be people who say that I do not tolerate people in my eyes. When I see someone trying to get close to your majesty, I will kill them. I cannot bear such a reputation. The emperor's words are reasonable. We will do as the emperor says. Meng Chang, go and issue the decree. Eunuch Meng, who had been following the crowd, walked out. This servant receives the decree. At this moment, Lord Su felt his vision turning dark. He never expected that his daughter would cause such a huge disaster. If he knew about this earlier, he would have strictly watched his daughter back in Hanzhou City to prevent her from developing such an arrogant character. But now it was too late to say anything. Lord Su still did not know that his daughter, who he thought was just a little arrogant, would bring him a huge surprise. No one dared to slack off when Shang Junlin ordered an investigation. Hanzhou City wasn't far from the capital. After the imperial decree was issued, officials immediately set off from the capital to Hanzhou City to investigate the truth. The Su family's daughter was locked up. When Lord Su returned, Madame Su came up to him. When she saw the green-clothed woman following behind Lord Su and her daughter missing, a bad premonition arose in her heart. Why are you the only ones back? Where's Junjun? Madame Su suppressed the panic in her heart and tried her best to ask in a calm voice. Lord Su wore an unsightly expression. He knew how much his wife doted on his daughter, so he had no idea how to explain to her about what had just happened. Seeing that Lord Su's expression wasn't good, Madame Su became even more flustered. She turned to look at the green-clothed woman and gave her a slap. You're back, but your sister isn't? Didn't I say that you have to be wherever she is? Knitting his brows, Lord Su replied. Why did you slap her? She can't do anything about this matter. The green-clothed woman held onto her face and tilted her head to the side. A brief moment later she chuckled. Slowly, her laughter grew louder and louder. What are you laughing about? Madam Sue, don't you know your own daughter's temperament? It's not like you don't know how many high-ranking officials and nobles can come to the autumn hunt. You don't know how many of them have outstanding looks. With Su Wanjuan's temperament, if she met those people, what do you think she would do? Madam Su's eyes flickered. Which noble did she get into a conflict with? The green-clothed woman ignored Madam Su's words and continued. This isn't Hanzhou City, and it's not a place where you can do whatever you want. What do you think the consequences will be if she continues to act as she did in the past? The green-clothed woman lowered her hand, and there was an obvious palm print on her face. Think about what your daughter has done. His Majesty has ordered for a thorough investigation. Not only her, but the disgusting things you did in the past will soon be announced to the world. My poor mother can finally rest in peace. Why are you dragging others into Junjun's matter? Lord Su was displeased. Nonsense. Take the second miss away. Without my orders, no one is allowed to let her out. After the green-clothed woman was taken away, Lord Su told Madam Su everything that happened today. When Madam Su heard it, her vision turned dark. The matter here didn't affect the hunt. In the evening, the participants returned with their prey. Xin Yu and Shang Junlin returned to the camp earlier. After being disturbed, Xin Yu didn't have the mood to continue. Shang Junlin originally wanted to accompany him. When he saw that Xin Yu wasn't in a good mood, he simply brought him back. Next time, I'll send people to guard the surroundings to prevent people who don't have eyes from barging in, Shang Junlin said as he massaged Xin Yu's wrist. Xin Yu rarely exercised so much. He didn't feel it earlier, but when he relaxed he only felt that his wrist hurt badly. Shang Junlin took out an ointment and massaged him. As the cool feeling seeped into his skin, the soreness was effectively relieved. Xin Yu moved his fingers. Why is your Majesty so overbearing? It's better than people who don't have eyes to make you unhappy. Shang Junlin put away the ointment and pulled Xin Yu to stand up. Let's go, they should be back soon. The sky gradually darkened, and a bonfire was lit in the open space. Shang Junlin held Xin Yu's hand and walked out. Does your Majesty know how to roast meat? Later, your Majesty will roast meat for me. Roast the deer that I hunted today, okay? Lord Su and Madam Su, who were approaching, happened to hear this sentence. When Madam Su knew that the cause of her daughter's misfortune was the deer, her face instantly became ugly. You're tuning into the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.